dust and bad feeling Texas Tech can impart upon a team, and they've done it to all but one so far this year, the Red Raiders have. So we'll talk a little BYU with Jerem Jordan. And then Jeff Schwartz is going to hang out in our 1 o'clock hour. So lots to discuss on the show today. Another college football playoff ranking will be coming out later tonight. We'll be digesting that mostly tomorrow. And I think that you're going to get not a ton of movement versus the not a lot of disparity, I should say, between the AP poll or the changes in the AP poll and the college football playoff rankings. I will be very, very curious to see how punitive the committee is to Alabama for their loss at the hands of Oklahoma. And then, of course, on the flip side of that equation is how much they reward Oklahoma for beating a very good Alabama team and handing them only their second loss of the season, because Alabama's quality wins resume is as good as anyone else in the country. They've got victories over Georgia, Vandy, Missouri, and Tennessee. Now, they lost to Oklahoma. They don't have a huge amount of opportunity, Alabama, to bolster their case beyond that Oklahoma game. So that was actually a pretty impactful loss for Alabama. I don't think impactful enough that they're going to be pushed out of contention, at least.
And OC, one of my fears with Alabama in particular is that's a team that I don't know if I'll have to pull up the SEC standings. I don't know if they're in the running for the SEC championship game, but if they lose their rivalry game in the Iron Bowl on Thanksgiving weekend, that's a team that I think the committee might and probably will give the benefit of the doubt as a 3-loss team over bubble teams like BYU, Utah, who have one or two less losses, right?
I actually don't think any 3-loss team is going to be treated well if we get to that point, because
you don't think like obviously an SEC championship game loss if Alabama's in the running for that and that's what happens would feel much more excusable than losing to a down Auburn team. But also you don't think the committee would go, that's a rivalry game. They're still great. Well, I think they might do that.
Maybe. I don't think so, because you could make a case. I don't want to make a case because the SEC already gets enough love as it is. I don't think Alabama can make their championship game. I mean, obviously, if A&M,
I'm going to check here. Yeah,
if A&M and Georgia mess up, Georgia would have to lose twice, I think, in order for Alabama to make the conference championship.
Oh, right,
game.
because they have the head-to-head. Unless there's, I mean, you get some wonky 3 or more team tie scenario that maybe that kicks in, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Now, look, it's possible that Georgia Tech could end up with 2 losses this year, but one of those, well, they don't have a conference game left. Georgia doesn't.
That's right. So Georgia's
in, and I believe
A&M's got 2 games or they've got 2 games left in the schedule, but they may not have 2 conference games either. Let's look at that.
And Texas A&M, yeah. So I think it's A&M Georgia.
Okay, so that it's probably locked in at this point. Yeah.
So look, Alabama,
or I suppose Ole Miss is still in the running if Georgia loses.
Oklahoma beating Alabama was kind of the worst case scenario for the Big 12, because both of those teams are big brands, and both of those teams now have a really impressive resume. I mean, as much as I want to say, but look how good the Big 12 is right now. Look how good BYU is. Look how good Utah is. Look how good Texas Tech is. And obviously your champion's going to get in. Your eventual champion's going to get in automatically. And I think there still is room for a second Big 12 conference team, because Oklahoma beat Alabama. I think that eliminates, and because Notre Dame beat Pitt, I think that eliminates the possibility, and it was always an outside possibility, but I think it completely eliminates the possibility in any reasonable scenario that the Big 12 somehow manages to get conference champ, runner-up, and an at-large bid.
Yeah, the 3 teams seems.
I mean, it always seemed pie in the sky.
It really does right now though. With it sucks too that it was just like one more field goal. And that's in play, right, for Bama. And we had talked about last week, and maybe it was more with when Bryson Bianucci filled in on Friday, OC. But on the show last week, we talked about even then, if it's a close loss for Oklahoma, and that would have been a really close loss, 1 point loss on the road, even then you might have what I talked about where the committee goes, you know what, we still think a 3-loss Oklahoma is the better team over a 2-loss Utah or potentially a 2-loss BYU team.
I don't go that far. I think that the third loss on anyone's schedule right now, because of where the good teams in the country sit record-wise, I think a third loss is too damning right now for anyone. Right now, the highest-ranked 3-loss team, and this is the AP, so it is different. Texas is the highest-ranked 3-loss team in the country at 17.
Yeah,
and Texas is going to be, I think, even further down than that when the AP poll, or sorry, when the CFP poll comes out.
They could be more like 20 in that poll.
Now, the remaining threats for BYU, Utah, because Texas Tech is they're effectively in my opinion. The committee has already shown a lot of love for them. They've got one regular season game left on the road against West Virginia. Now, West Virginia they've pulled off an upset or two so far this season, but they haven't done that against someone the caliber of Texas Tech, although the transitive property in football, as much as it doesn't apply, West Virginia played really, really tough against Arizona State, and Arizona State is the team that managed to hand Texas Tech a loss. I don't see that being a thing, even though it's a home game for West Virginia.
Well, Sam Leavitt also played in that Texas Tech loss, and even though Sims has been much better since the Utah game for ASU,
it was Sam Leavitt came back and won them that game.
That makes that a much different thing, even if you were to do the transitive.
So as we await another college football playoff ranking, the sort of case building and the trash talking and the whatever in the rivalry is going to reach an absolute crescendo, an all-time high, if and only if, and I think it's a huge if Cincinnati can somehow beat BYU, then this is going to get impossibly ugly. This is going to be the worst apologetics, the worst mental gymnastics. It's going to be the most upside down, backwards, insane rivalry discussion that has ever happened.
It really is. And do you think that Utah fans should be hoping that BYU, and I don't know if they would or not. I'd have to go to that website Spence was talking about to know for sure, that figure out who would come out of the wonky 3 or more team tie to get in second. But do you think Utah fans should or will be hoping in that scenario that BYU makes it to the conference championship game instead of them?
I haven't looked at the exact tiebreaker scenario, because I am of the opinion, even as I waste a half hour every day of your time listening to my show talking about the what ifs in the Big 12 conference, I am truly of the opinion that, like, I'm not going to give myself the extra homework until it's necessary.
Yeah.
To, like, if there is a 3-way tie, I will do everything to understand the ins and outs and the minutia of the tie-breaking scenarios. Right now, Utah is looking up at BYU, and they're looking up at Texas Tech, and they're saying, there's a possibility that this tie comes into play. But I will say this, Stuart Mandel, who does make it his business.
I think Furlong does the flow chart too.
According to what I have seen from those guys, is that if that tiebreaker scenario does come into play, that Utah actually comes out on top.
Okay, so it doesn't matter what Utah fans should or will hope for, they're gonna come out on top.
The qualifier has to be said, because I'm superstitious enough. You have to win your games, and they are not gimme games. Kansas State and Kansas are not gimme games by any stretch of the imagination, especially with the backdrop of what we are discussing as a potential with, like, and I know it happens every year where there's rollover, there's turnover, there's change in college football. It's one of the reasons we love college football. because you kind of have to. It requires more effort to stay up with things in college football than it does with your favorite NBA team or your favorite NFL team. And the program's sustaining greatness is actually something that is, I think, even more impressive. But whatever. We look at a situation now where Utah needs help, and that help has to come from a Cincinnati team that I am not convinced is really even as good as their ranking says they are or their record says they are. Quite frankly, you need a little bit of help from BYU. BYU kind of shooting themselves in the foot. You need a little help from Parker Kingston on a fumbled punt. You need a little help from Bear Bachmeier on a missed read. You need help from.
You need some true freshman moments that we just have not seen other than the Texas Tech game from him.
You need a little help from the Nabahine kid to probably fumble because LJ Martin's not going to do it for you. These things that are outside of your control, you have to sort of hope for. I will say, and I think this is the direction you were headed with the question, should Utah want a rematch in the Big 12 championship game in order to kind of eliminate some of the guesswork? Well, the way things are trending right now and the way the committee's decision-making has looked up to this point, maybe that Oklahoma win changes the calculus a little bit.
And you got to think
tonight's
about
rankings.
You got to think about what I brought up.
But at the end of the day, I don't know if Utah being in that conference championship game against Texas Tech, I'm a believer they can win that game. I'm a believer that they kind of should win that game. I'm a believer that they should have won the game that they played against Texas Tech. And I know that the final score doesn't indicate how close it was, but that game really came down to the final 6 minutes, and Utah choked it away. Texas Tech made the plays that they needed to make. I'm a believer that this Utah team is absolutely capable of beating that Texas Tech team, especially because it will be Baron Morton instead of the Hammond kid, the backup who came in and was a lot harder for you to corral. I actually think that Baron Morton, who's their starter, is for Utah a better matchup, if that makes sense for people. But at the end of the day, this committee, if they continue to show Utah the respect that they've showed to this point, and that is a question with the Oklahoma win over Alabama and the SEC kind of repositioning and Notre Dame getting their, I think, much-needed statement win against Pitt, I think the calculus might change a little bit. I don't know that Utah falls, but I think that the upward mobility that you kind of needed to get into that top 10 over the final 3 weeks, I don't think we see any upward mobility for Utah. So that could be a message that, hey, we're stalling out a little bit here. But according to a lot of the algorithms that are out there in the college football playoff predictor that's on the ESPN site, the easier path, and we've talked about this for 2 weeks, might actually be circumventing the Big 12 championship game, which as a purist football fan, I hate. I think that you should be rewarded for making your conference championship game. I think that conference championship games should be emphasized for their importance. I think that losing to a top 5, that would be a top 5 Texas Tech team, if you do it in, if it's a close game, you probably still have a decent case. But I do think that the 3 losses, to the Alabama point you were just making, if they lost in their conference championship game, which I think we decided they can't even make it to.
So they are actually still in it because one of their losses is non-conference. So they only have one loss.
They only have one conference
So
loss.
there is potentially a wonky 3 or more team tie for second with Georgia, Ole Miss, and Alabama.
All right. Okay.
And Texas A&M, and it would be a 4 or more team tie to decide the 2 spots if Texas A&M were to lose their rivalry game against Texas too.
I'm watching the Pat McAfee show that's on right now. They just had this big-time offensive lineman, this recruit, committed to West Virginia.
Did he just now announce his commitment?
He just now announced his commitment.
Okay.
His name is Kevin Brown. I know nothing about this kid.
Shout out to the former Dodgers and Yankees pitcher, Kevin Brown.
He decided to go to West Virginia over Ohio State and North Carolina.
That's wow. And North Carolina is only significant because Bill Belichick's the coach now, although he hasn't been very good. Is he going to burn the couch?
And now they're starting a couch on fire. There's absolute. This is terrible radio. There's zero context to whatever's going on here.
Yeah,
but
they're burning a couch on the Pat McAfee show. Kevin Brown, not the baseball player, is burning his couch.
We probably should have guessed that the commitment was going to be to West Virginia.
Yeah.
If he was deciding to make the commitment on the Pat McAfee
that's
show.
Wild. In particular, you have a chance to go to Ohio State, West Virginia, or North Carolina, and you choose West Virginia. That's wow. That's in particular, choosing that over Ohio State is wild. But hey, maybe he loves him some Rich Rod. I don't know, or some Pat McAfee.
He was a one-time Penn State commit.
Okay, and then Franklin got fired, and so he reopened. Okay.
That's,
by the way, James Franklin Hokies. I was not expecting the Hokies to get the biggest name.
James Franklin is now the Virginia Tech head coach moving forward. This actually is one of the most fascinating things that I've seen because I love the idea of Virginia Tech. All right. I've never been there. I want to go and experience a night game there. I want to see what it's really all about. When Virginia Tech has been at their best, they're one of those teams. I don't mean to disrespect Virginia Tech by putting them in the same category as a group of 5 team, but Virginia Tech being in the top 25 is fun for me in the same way that Boise State being a perennial contender is fun, because I just view Virginia Tech as this it's literally in the backwoods of Appalachia, right? I just view them as this little engine that could. And now they've got James Franklin, who has decided, and this is something that I always fail to understand, but definitely don't fail to appreciate about coaches. James Franklin had a $49 million buyout that now, because he took another job, he's going to get $9 million of. Now, of course, he's gainfully employed. Virginia Tech's going to make up the difference and more. But coaches are wired in a way that I think a lot of us don't really get. And I was having actually on the phone last night, I was having this conversation with a guy who is a coach where, talking about the hours of a season, talking about how in week 10, 11, 12, you haven't seen your family in a lot of cases in 4 months. Where if you have little kids like we do, James, right? The precious, irreplaceable, you can't get them back moments of putting that kid to bed, getting them out of bed. Those things don't belong to coaches. They don't get, that is not a coach's experience in life. That is, in my opinion, heartbreaking. It's tragic. It's terrible. They don't know what they're missing in most cases because they've never had a chance to do it in most cases. But James Franklin, instead of just sitting back and collecting generational wealth without having to do anything, or he can sit down and take a TV job, he can be an analyst somewhere, they want to coach. There is something in the brain, the soul, the heart of every big-time coach that they have to be teachers. They have to try to be developers of young men. They have to get themselves in the mix. Even when someone is handing you a lottery ticket and saying, it didn't work out the way we wanted it to, here you go. Go buy that boat. Go get that beach house. You know what? Buy 3 of them, because that's the kind of money I'm handing you right now, and you don't have to do anything. And instead, voluntarily, and he's not the only one who's going to do it, but James Franklin goes, you know what I would rather do? I would rather take on a rebuild. I would rather aggressively overwork myself for the foreseeable future for, yes, great money, but I want the stress. I want cardiac event-inducing problems every weekend for the next 5 years.
Want to stay in it. Yeah.
It's it is a calling in a way that I think very few of us feel called for our professions. I love being a broadcaster. I love it. I love doing this show. I love doing the play-by-play stuff that I'm lucky enough to get to do for the PFL, who, by the way, announced our first 4 events. We'll talk about that later in the show for 2026. I cannot overstate how much I love that. But if someone said to me, instead of showing up and doing your show every day, instead of getting on an airplane and going to New York or going to Belfast or going to wherever, I'm going to just hand you more money than you can even wrap your head around right now to chill on the couch. And every once in a while, maybe once a week, we will put you on a plane if you so desire, and we will fly you to sit on a desk next to Urban Meyer, and you can talk about the stuff without ever having to be truly invested in the outcome. I'd be like, yeah, give me that option. But these coaches, man, they are freaks. Whatever your job is, if you're out there listening right now, ask yourself, would you rather do that job, or would you rather be given $40 million to not do that job? And the answer is, unless you are like saving the lives of pediatric patients, your answer probably is and probably should be, well, I'd rather just chill and keep the money. Coaches are different, man.
Early retirement sounds great.
But you know who it doesn't sound great to? Apparently every football coach on planet Earth.
Yeah, except for possibly Brian Kelly at this point. We talked about this with the whole lawsuit.
But for him, it's not early retirement.
Yeah,
he's
right.
Retirement age.
He's right. But he might be at that point where it seems like he could be at the point where, because of his age and whatever else, he's like, you know what, I will just take the money. Dude, but all the other big-time coaches that are out here that are on the market that have been recently fired or otherwise, they probably are, yeah, I'll take whatever job and you can cut my buyout whatever you want.
This is one of the reasons why I should probably pump the brakes a little bit on my repetitive statements. If I think this is Kyle Whittingham's last year, I think he's done. Because why? Like, he's more of a coach than James Franklin's a coach. Right? Yeah. Kyle Whitting, like, I'm sure if we talk to James Franklin and we're like, what are your interests outside of football?
He might have some.
He probably has one or two more than Kyle Whittingham does.
Yeah.
Coach Witt's like, well, I enjoy working out. I enjoy hanging out with my grandkids.
I like
riding motorcycles.
Yeah, my motorcycle.
I like riding my bicycle. Hawaii. I like all cycles. You know what I mean? Like, here's a good example of why coaches are just – the decisions are so impossible to explain to a mortal person. Beyond James Franklin walking away from $40 million, the $40 million difference in his buyout is insane. And remember, it also comes with, like, you can have all of your time, virtually all of it, 24 hours of every day belongs to you. Figure out what you want to do with it, and we'll give you $49 million. Or we'll give you $9 million, and now we're going to take 20 of every 24 hours of your day. And he's like, yeah, let's do the second one. Crazy, nuts, good for you. I'm glad you found your calling in life. Bronco Mendenhall, remember when Bronco Mendenhall was at the University of Virginia? He had things going pretty well there.
Yeah.
He was a good coach there, and Virginia's not the kind of place that you have to be competing even for a conference championship every year.
Just be bowl eligible, just have a winning record.
Like, Virginia is the equivalent of, like, what, Houston? Where they want to be good, but if they're not, there's other good things going. Like, basketball's usually humming over there.
Yeah.
So, like, just be respectable on the football side. Bronco was achieving that and more. And he was getting paid, what, $3 million a year to do it? And he said, you know what? I need to care about other things in life right now. I need to care about stuff that is bigger than football. And he retired early. Said, I'm walking away from football. And it lasted all of 2 years, and then he was like, actually, you know what I really want to do? I want to go take on a rebuild in the armpit of the college football world in New Mexico and see if I can make something happen there.
His home state, right? There was kind of a homecoming for him.
By the way, no hate on New Mexico. It's a beautiful state, right? It's a cool spot. But in terms of the college football world, it is an armpit.
Yeah, right. And
then he's like, and he did a good enough job there that he's like, well, now you're getting upgraded from the armpit to, like, the wrist. So you're at
Shout out to Utah State.
you're in Logan. You're at Utah State, right? And again,
We definitely won't be hearing from angry Aggie fans in the text line.
Look, a wrist is great. You adorn that thing with some jewelry. You get a watch on there. There's nothing wrong with a wrist, okay? Utah State, I think, is a cool job. It's wonderful. But don't discount the path that Bronco took to get to there.
Yeah.
It was like he's had already 4 better jobs in coaching than this. I'm not just talking about head coach. Like being the defensive coordinator at BYU when he was there was as prestigious or a better job than being the current head coach at Utah State, right? And obviously his BYU job, his Virginia job, like so three better jobs.
Yeah, because we're acknowledging Utah State better spot than New Mexico
Certainly
from
is.
college
That's why
football
he's here.
standards. Yeah,
that's why. Okay, so he's
Yeah.
had 3 better jobs, and he voluntarily walked away from one, thinking it was right for him, and then he realized I actually don't want to have like Bronco had
I'm a
enough
coach
money.
still. Yeah,
I mean, he had he could comfortably retire, and instead he's like, I actually no. What I want to do is I want to be coaching. They want to be coaching. All of them are insane. They want to be coaching, and that's head coaches. That says nothing of the assistant coaches who at a place like Utah State or at a place like New Mexico, or I mean, at Utah you're making really good money if you're an assistant coach. But if you're at Weber State or you're at, we just figured it out, Mickey Mental, who got fired. The head coach was making like $200,000.
Yeah, so the assistants are making
You make like $5 an hour.
A fraction of that. Yeah.
So if you're an assistant making $50,000, you're making $1 an hour. Like these people are insane. Coaching is a calling, and it's a thing that we often are. I even am guilty of this. We're often dismissive of the way they're like, oh, these guys are overpaid, $10 million, $12 million, or whatever. But it's, I mean, if it's something that is so all-consuming to your soul and your life, and the money's there anyway, you might as well get paid for it. James Franklin decided instead of riding off into the sunset, quite literally, you could do that with $49 million buyout. He's like, no, I'm going to go and I'm going to I want to do the Enter Sandman thing. I'm going to see if I can resurrect Virginia Tech. Good for you, man.
Yeah, Porter's excited. I want to know how excited Porter is. Virginia
Well, we'll
Tech
see him
fan.
a little bit later today.
Yeah, we'll see because I don't know. Maybe I would think that if you're a Virginia Tech fan, you'd like the hire of a guy like James Franklin, even though at places higher than that, they're down on James Franklin. I don't know.
877-353-0700. I really do. I mean this in a non-facetious way. If you love your job, or you need your job as much as these college coaches seemingly need to coach, please let me know. Just tell me what it is and what your job is. 877-353-0700. Because I admire it in a strange and hard-to-understand kind of way. I'm like, wow, that's really, really cool.
Elementary school janitor, need it.
Honestly, that's a pretty sick
Shout
job.
out to those guys.
That's honestly a pretty cool job. That's like the kids. If you're like a cool one, you're not the scary one that like keeps the headphones on all day. Like you loved your elementary school janitor probably.
Can't remember if I did or not.
All right,
probably.
Way to defeat my point. 877-353-0700. I hope you love your job as much as James Franklin loves coaching. We got to take a quick one here. Gordy Chiesa is going to join us next. ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Well, welcome back to the Sean O'Connell Show. Welcome in Gordy Chiesa, our resident NBA guru. He's brought to you by our friends at Aladdin Industries, your Velux dealer here in Utah. Gordy, welcome. How are you, sir?
Sean, I'm doing fine. Thank you.
So what do you attribute the impossibly cool tear that Lauri Markkanen is on right now?
One, talent. Two, focus. Remember, he missed last year 35 games. And some of them he was able to play, but they sat him out, meaning management. And so now he has his head on, ready to play, and his teammates are very conscious of his abilities. He's having a career year. He's sixth in the NBA in scoring. He's played in all 13 games this year. So as he missed last year 35 games already, he's 13 for 13 as far as being a starter. His teammates know what he could do. He's getting the ball in space, and he's really a smart cutter. So a lot of times, without getting so technical, Sean, they overplay him, and he makes a back cut to the basket. And Yusuf Nurkic and also Filipowski and now Kevin Love and Keontae George all give him that ball on that change direction cut. And that's been a big factor, so which means that the defense is behind. He gets to the foul line. He's an 88% free throw shooter. And so this is the reason why he's having some good years as far as this season where his teammates are finding him, he's making shots, and more importantly, he's moving out the ball. And when's the last time, Sean, we said that Lauri Markkanen over-dribbled?
Is that is that some of that from the fact that he is a European player and his fundamentals are more sound from the way he came up?
Yes. Oh, you're being that underscore. Yes. Just generally speaking, with the outlier being an outlier, that the European players are trained differently. In America, the AU programs, the sneaker teams in the summertime, it's all based on flash and dance. And so the players are behind, not athleticism, but behind as far as skills and awareness. The European players are taught old school fundamentals where driving, shooting, passing, rebounding, screen reading, defensively, early eyes as far as seeing the ball. And that you get to the NBA, minus the cultural as far as living in USA, from a basketball standpoint, they're probably ahead of most of the European players. That's why there's so many great Euros as far as in the league, including guys like, say, Luka Doncic, Giannis, Nikolai Jokic, Dirk Nowitzki a few years back. These are all players that have learned how to play the game at an early age.
I feel like it's wonderful to acknowledge what Lauri is doing right now. It's a lot of fun to watch. I think he's one of those guys that already is beloved by this Utah fan base and hopefully will grow into even more of that kind of role. But what he is doing right now is overshadowing Keontae George's season so far. I mean, I'm not as surprised by what we're seeing from Lauri as I am from what we're seeing out of Keontae George. Maybe that's my own ignorance speaking here, but the guy's averaging 22 points and 7 assists. I mean, if it weren't for Lauri Markkanen, he'd be more of a story.
Yes, and also he gets to the foul line. He's a 92% free throw shooter, and that's a huge factor where he gets bumped a lot of times driving to the basket. And he has a very innate ability, a la James Harden type, where he drives, he drops his shoulder and puts the ball right in front of the defensive player's hands and forces the referee to call a foul. And so he's clever doing that. And the maturity factor. This is Keontae's third year in the NBA. Just generally speaking, whether you're in the NBA or the NFL, the game slows down each year you play at a certain position. In the NFL, obviously, it's quarterback. In the NBA, most times, it's being a perimeter player, usually at point guard with other responsibilities. And so he's scoring the ball, he's passing the ball, and he's defending much better. The previous 2 years, he was, let's call it a dish rag defensive player, where when he hit a screen, he'd fall down like a dish rag. Now, to his credit, he's strong. You're laughing, it's the truth, though. So I know a lot of guys play dish rag defense.
I've never heard it called that before. I've never heard it called dish rag defense. I'm going to start stealing that. I'm going to use it.
Sean, forever. Use it forever. I've been saying it for 50 years now. And so he's learned how to play more physical without dramatically fouling, like always. Technique is everything. Whether you're a defensive back in the NFL, quarterback, safety, you got to be able to use your hands. And the NFL, and the NBA, it's the exact same thing. Besides footwork, how do you use your hands to gain a gainful advantage? And Keontae is playing much better defense. He's more aware of it, and that's why the Jazz have this really uptick as far as being 5-8 in the 13 games. Let's not forget, last year the Jazz won 17 games total. Yikes! So right now they're 5-8, and they're pointing forward.
Gordy, sad news for us who are big-time Victor Wembanyama fans. He's got the calf strain, and it sounds like he's going to miss a little bit of time. My question for you is he going to miss so much time that it's going to take him out of an MVP conversation this year? Because he was kind of on that pace.
Yeah, still on that page, certainly. And where the rules are, they change it because of the abuse, ironically, Sean, by the Spurs of holding guys out historically. And so for the listeners right now, you have to play in a minimum of 65 games to be able to make an all-NBA team, MVP, any sort of awards recognition in April and May as far as after the regular season, not postseason. So Wembanyama, he can't miss more than 17 games the total season. And so with the calf injury, they're saying it's going to take roughly about 10 to 14 days to heal. However, they're going to use absolutely good judgment where if he's not healed as far as all the different metrics they use, they're going to sit him out. And so the Spurs right now, Sean, 9-4. He's averaging 26 points per game, 12.9 rebounds, which is only second to Nikola Jokic, leads the NBA in blocks 3.6, and he's leading his team, they think, for the first time in the playoffs in 6 years. Now, the backup's going to be for the Spurs going to be Luke Cornett, who's played well for them already. So sometimes they go Twin Towers. They go Luke Cornett, and they go, it's hard to believe, but Victor playing outside at 7'4", playing perimeter. And the backup now center is going to be former Jazz man we all love, Kelly Olynyk. So Wembanyama, they're going to use good patience, and I believe that minus some other injuries, he'll be in the conversation for MVP and definitely Defensive Player of the Year.
How much does what we've seen around the league, recently, last year's finals, et cetera, with calf tightness becoming a bigger problem with Achilles and things like that, how much does that influence the decision-making of the Spurs? Are these medical staffs prisoners of the moment in some ways?
No, they're not. They're going to a different alternative where when you're that, there's so much tenacity as far as stop, go, and that even though you're a superior athlete in conditioning, the force on your lower legs, and with Wembanyama type people, they're so angular, and so it's even more dramatic. Chet Holmgren type guys, anybody that's like long and lean, it's even more dramatic. And so the trainers and doctors, they absolutely know what they're doing, and it's just more of the tenacity of the moment, and also the bodies are much bigger, so that when you do get unbelievable hit in stride, you're going to go down in much velocity and more force.
Gordy, what rookies right now, what young players in the NBA are impressing you the most as we're, 15, 20 games in?
Yes, besides Ace Bailey with the Jazz, he's played well for the Jazz. There's ups and downs, but generally speaking, Ace has done a good job as far as making shots, moving the ball, and rebounding. Now, the two guys that really are so interesting, they're on the Charlotte Hornets. One is Con Knipple, who was the fourth pick of the draft, and you can make a discussion as we speak, could be the rookie of the year. Here's his quick metrics. 17.6 points per game, 40% from threes, 88% from the free throw line, 46.5 field goal percentage. Oh, by the way, he's age 20. So he's played spectacular. He's getting a chance to play on a lesser team, which is part of the equation. Also, his sidekick, Ryan Kaufbrenner, who was the 34th fourth pick of the draft out of Creighton, a big guy. He's averaging 9.9 points per game, 2.2 blocks. He's shooting from the field, basically all dunks and stickbacks, 81.2% from the field. He's 55 for 69 in field goal attempts. And so when he gets that ball inside and he's able to take a hit and finish, or he's wide open. And that 2.2 blocks is really so amazing because he's being challenged all the time by other people trying to go around him and dunk on him. Quick, the other two guys would be B.J. Edgecombe, 76ers. He was the third pick of the draft. I know the Jazz loved him also. He's averaging 15.6 points per game and 4.2 assists. Cooper Flagg. I know right now the Mavs are really disarray. However, he has played well for them in a very tough working environment, especially for a guy. Remember, with Cooper, he turns 19 years old next month in December. So you always remember that these guys are so young into the NBA. Cooper's averaging 15.2 points per game and 6.6 rebounds. And the last guy, Jeremiah Fears from the Pelicans. Again, a lesser team. Willie Green got fired. They're going to play this guy a lot more. He's averaging 14.4 points per game. So the high draft picks have played well. And then Ryan Kaufbrenner from Creighton, 35th pick, has really surprised everybody in a good way.
What's your list today, Gordy?
All right, my list today, we could do a list every day about either Wilt Chamberlain or about Nikola Jokic of the Denver Nuggets, because these guys are always on these lists. But and this list purposely is no Wilt, because I don't want to keep saying about Wilt Chamberlain. Here we go. The most career registering 20 points and 10 assist games in NBA history. So career games of 20 points and 10 assists. Number 12 all time, Nikola Jokic has 160 already, 20 and 10 games. Number 11, Steve Nash, 162. Tie for number 9, Tim Hardaway and Kevin Johnson with 170, 20 points and 10 assists per game. Number 8 all time. I had the privilege to coach this guy for 16 years. John Stockton did it 184 times. Number 7, Sean, is surprising because he's hurt right now with the Atlanta Hawks, but he does have a game as far as this criteria. Trae Young has 20 and 10 games, 194 times in his career. Number 6 all time, Isaiah Thomas, 209. Number 5 for the LA Clippers at age 40, Chris Paul, 229 times. Number 4 from the Sacramento Kings, Russell Westbrook has done it 259 times. Number 3 from the LA Clippers, James Harden, 260. The second all-time greatest player with the most career, 20 and 10 games, is Magic Johnson with 263. And tonight, we might see him tonight against the Jazz, the all-time leader in most ever, 20 points and 10 assisted games, is LeBron James, 288 times he's done that. Thus, that's my list of today. Tonight's game, Jazz versus Lakers, should be an interesting matchup.
How long till we see LeBron back on an NBA floor?
Soon, maybe tonight.
Could be.
It's possible. Maybe it's possible. And if not, remember the Jazz played the Lakers also on Sunday here in Salt Lake City. So the Jazz are gonna see LeBron either tonight or definitely on Sunday. Let's not forget, Sean, he's age 41. And if you talk about some heavy lifting on that strong body, he's the ultimate. And we've never seen a guy play at this highest level in the history of basketball. Not Kareem, not Wilt, not Michael Jordan, not Karl Malone, anybody, not Nowitzki, anybody with all these long years. LeBron is number one by far as longevity and as far as raw performance.
LeBron officially questionable on the injury report for tonight, so could happen. We'll see.
Yeah, could happen. And it's that nerve damage with your back. You've had a bad back in your career. Everyone does. You get out of bed in the morning and you pray to the Lord that your back feels okay. And at first, 5 or 6 minutes when you get up in the morning, it's really hard. And then hopefully, quote, in layman's term, your back loosens up. Well, that's LeBron with that nerve condition. and that's all that, just the wear and tear on that body. How many times do you think, Sean, did LeBron James jump up in the air in his career arc?
Millions.
Yeah, right, exactly. I mean, you can't quantify it because no one knows, including him. But that's what happens. Your body eventually, Father Time, does catch up.
LeBron and I are effectively the same age. I've been retired for 7 years. He's continued to perform at a much higher level, and obviously he was at the highest level when he was 18 years old. Unlike people like myself, I'm at a point now where if I don't if the pillow that I have to sleep between my knees, if that thing somehow slips out during the night, my back is screwed the next day. I'm done for. So, I mean, I hope he's got some fancy technology that keeps his back good while he's sleeping at least.
Oh, I'm sure he does also. But let's not forget, though, in your career arc, you're always trying to avoid punches too, though. They were trying to hurt you all the time.
Yeah, I probably should have avoided those a little bit more successfully. But here we are, Gordy, and that's why I get to do some local radio with you. Appreciate your time, sir.
Thanks, Sean. Peace out. Stay well.
Gordy Chiesa brought to you by Aladdin Industries, your Velux dealer here in Salt Lake City. All right, Hot Lunch is coming next. BGR has provided the meal, and Lane Kiffin and the coaching watch in both Gainesville and Baton Rouge provide the content. I'll update you next on the Sean O'Connell Show. It's ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. All right, guys, do it right now. Drop what you're doing. Head to BGR Burgers Grilled Right in Sugar House. Full transparency, I demanded the Wagyu Wellington burger again on a Tuesday. It was a feature burger yesterday. It's also the feature burger today because that's how good this thing is. The caramelized onions on top of the truffle-infused patty, absolutely perfect. The mojo sauce and the blue cheese crumbles mixed together to create almost like a crumbly cheese paste. Oh, my gosh. This thing is fantastic. It is mouth-watering. It is exactly what you need. Go get it for the hot lunch today. Burgers Grilled Right is at 1202 East Wilmington in Sugar House. Tell them OC sent you. They'll give you a discount on your burger, on your fries, on your tots, on your shakes. They've got it all at BGR in the heart of Sugar House. Man, this burger is good. All right. I know that there are a small contingent of Utah fans that are out there thinking, yeah, you know what? If and when Kyle Whittingham moves on, I want a national search. I want to know if you're getting the right guy in the head coaching situation. I'm firmly of the opinion and on record that Morgan Scalley is the right guy to take over. The head coach in waiting is the head coach in waiting for very good reason, in my opinion. I know there are people in the fan base who want to get involved in the circus and the drama of a full-on coaching carousel. If that's your opinion, if that's how you feel, just watch what's happening in Oxford, Mississippi right now. That's a team that's headed to the college football playoff, and yet every fan is holding their breath and looking at all these headlines about Zillow postings and private jets from Baton Rouge and from Gainesville coming in to pick up Lane Kiffin's ex-wife, who is now his, reconciled girlfriend, who is also the father of his children, and they've got one still at home, and they're apparently touring the campus at Baton Rouge.
I didn't know his relationship was that complicated. Jeez.
So he divorced the woman that he had 3 children with.
Yeah.
And now they're back together. They've reconciled, and so she is the one who all these reports are. She's the one who's not Lane, but his ex-wife, who is the mother of his children and is currently, I guess, cohabitating, and they're finishing raising their son, who's like a sophomore in high school. Anyway, going to Baton Rouge to look at houses, going to Gainesville to look at houses, and you want to hear the latest wrinkle here, James? Apparently, the most expensive house in all of Gainesville, Florida, went under contract yesterday.
Oh.
Guess who used to live in the house? Dan Mullen, head coach.
Oh, I was going to say Billy Napier.
The
coach before Billy Napier.
So, by the way, Gainesville, pretty affordable housing market. Most expensive house on the market, $3.2 million.
Yeah. Maybe you, me, and 10 other people, we could pool our money together and maybe get that house.
That's it's 5 bedrooms, 8 bathrooms, 7,200 square feet on a nice little chunk of land. It's a big house.
Wow. Yeah, for a house that big, you'd think it'd be more than that. Yeah. Wow.
So apparently that's the latest wrinkle that Lane Kiffin.
What about the most expensive house in Baton Rouge?
You know what? Let's look that up. This might make the decision. Most expensive house in Baton Rouge, which translates to?
What does Baton Rouge translate to? I don't know.
Red Stick.
Red Stick in Red Stick, Louisiana.
The most expensive house in Baton Rouge is currently the Highland Road Estate at 1101 Highland Road. It is listed at $14 million. A sophisticated estate built in 2006 on a 12.5-acre lot in a private gated enclave. 5 beds, 10 baths, a rotunda reading area, a large glass wall that slides open, 2-story closet with a staircase, a chandelier in the foyer that cost $1 million.
Oh, my gosh.
A room for the 10 Commandments.
Okay.
All right. Which, I don't know, if you're Lane Kiffin, is that a selling point, or is that a reason you don't want the house?
Do I have to keep the 10 Commandments in that room? Yes.
Resort-style infinity pool, lazy river, and koi pond.
Oh, my gosh.
Game room, home theater, and wine cellar guest quarters as well.
So So that sounds like way bigger than the Gainesville house. That's $11 million less.
Yeah, I mean
that's definitely way bigger. So that one makes sense why it's much more expensive. That's Brian Kelly's house. Okay.
The question is Lane Kiffin a bargain hunter, or is he a guy that's just like, you know what?
I want all the bells and whistles.
They're gonna pay me $100 million to come coach. Let's do this thing.
I want all the bells and whistles. And absolutely I want a room for the 10 Commandments. That's insane. Lazy River.
Very interesting.
Yeah. Wow.
Although
here as we talk about the coaching part of this, OC, I don't really, unless you just are like, I love me some Florida. He was the head coach in Boca Raton and not that long ago, as he made his way back to in the coaching circles in college. So maybe he loves himself some Florida. Unless you just love the locale a lot more. I don't understand why you think that Ole Miss can't be Florida. Why Ole Miss can't be LSU if you stay. You know?
And again, we talked about this a little bit on the show yesterday. I really do believe it's more about the resources behind the program now than the name on the program.
Yeah.
Texas Tech is a great example of that. BYU is a great example of that. Now, neither of those places are like podunk,
Hey, Lubbock's got 2 targets now.
Or historically nobodies, right? They've had good years, and they've been on the map in college football before, but the upward mobility of both of those programs, while, by the way, there's a bunch of teams in the country that are experiencing like a downtrend, they show you that if you're in Oxford, Mississippi, and you've got, I don't know what the situation is, truly don't know. You've got some car dealer, you've got some textile manufacturer, you got some whatever, who's like, yeah, man, like, I'll write you a blank check every year. Just go get the team you want. Why would you leave? You've got a kid who's in school there at Ole Miss, although her boyfriend is a linebacker for LSU.
Okay, so there might be,
so
be a little pull towards red stick for that one.
That I guess could factor in.
I'm going to say red stick. From
you could.
On,
mean, if you're talking to your kid, right, the one who's a high schooler right now, you're more likely to end up at Ole Miss or at LSU or at Florida. Would you rather be a Tiger or a Reb or a Gator?
Yeah,
because all of these jobs are going to pay me $100 million.
Yeah,
and if you're even considering taking these jobs, they better be giving you blank checks or the closest equivalent thereof when it comes to NIL spending.
And by the way, as far as SEC circles, I think you nailed it with when you were talking about BYU and Texas Tech having, while not nationally storied programs, have had great runs in their histories. Ole Miss is that same way when you compare it to the rest of the SEC, right? It's not necessarily a terrible football program traditionally, but it's not like it always winning national championships either. So it's like, if they're giving you the same resources as these other schools, and you have proven in a few years here you can compete with the big boys in the SEC. You haven't been able to win yet, but you can compete with those guys, and you're right on the doorstep of overtaking some of those programs. I mean, I don't understand giving that up from a pure football decision for the tradition of the richer tradition of Florida and LSU, at least richer recent tradition of Florida and LSU. I like just stay in Oxford, but there's obviously other personal and other factors that play into this other than whatever the job you want. So maybe one of those wins out.
All right, I'm going to let the houses decide, and the Gainesville one only has a half basketball court.
Okay.
It's only half court.
The other one has a lazy river.
So, sorry, Gainesville, you're out. Going to Baton Rouge. All right, got to take a break. That's the Hot Lunch provided to you by Burgers Grilled Right, the Wagyu Wellington Burger. It's Wagyu beef, truffle-infused, caramelized onions, blue cheese crumbles, and their signature mojo sauce on a perfectly grilled patty, just the right amount of pink in this hamburger. Oh, I love it so much. 1202 East Wilmington. Tell them Mosi sent you for the discount. We go behind the scenes with the enemy. Red and blue. Jerem Jordan joins us next on ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. We go behind enemy lines with our frenemy, Jerem Jordan, brought to you by Murdoch Ford Santa Quinn. 0% down for 72 months, $0 down payments, no payments for 90 days right now at Murdoch Ford Santa Quinn. They've also got the Black Friday oil change deals going on. Go check them out. How about this? 2025 Ford F-150, 0% for 5 years. Tell them OC sent you. Jerem Jordan, welcome to the show again. How are you?
So if I say OC sent me, like we're good?
Yep. They'll give you a
Yes.
they'll give you a truck.
I'm down in Mapleton, and so that's not as far as you would think from me. Probably 15 minutes.
Beautiful. Go check them out. Murdoch Ford Santa Quinn. One of the questions I had, and it wasn't one that was really pressing on my mind, but I wondered if Texas Tech had exposed for BYU in the mirror something like, oh man, maybe I shouldn't be as confident as I am. Maybe I, Bear Bachmeier, freshman quarterback, just didn't realize how difficult what I have been doing should be, and now I'm going to start to like overthink things. Any even inkling of that question I thought was answered emphatically by Bear and the rest of this BYU Cougar squad against the Texas Christian team, who I think is a lot better than BYU made them look. a really impressive win for me. What was the thing that really stood out for you as BYU got the bounce-back victory against a decent TCU squad?
I mean, big picture, it was 2 weeks ago, TCU was in the hunt for the Big 12 title game at 6-2, and now they've lost 2 in a row to Iowa State, which they were up 17-6 in the fourth, and now BYU made them look silly, which was awesome. Fun fact, since 2000, when playing a power conference opponent that won at least 6 games, that's only the second time BYU's won one of those kind of games by 30-plus. 2014 Texas, that's the kind of game it was for BYU of significance, bouncing back, like you mentioned, after last year where BYU lost to Kansas and went to ASU and they lost. Like, how are they going to respond? Are they going to, get out of the college football playoff at-large hunt, get out of the Big 12 title hunt unless you have a bunch of tiebreakers? Nope. Punched TCU right in the mouth from the beginning of the game, scored on the first 7 possessions, and I was most impressed by the defense of BYU. 13 points allowed by TCU is the fewest this season, 298 yards of total offense is the second fewest. The interceptions, the Tanner Wall takeaway, which I think was big because Kalani Sitake is a nice guy. He doesn't run it up, but, hey, that's fair game after BYU's backup punter drops the ball. Tanner Wall goes all the way, and then he gets the Rudy treatment on the sideline, which was awesome after he had grass in his face mask. Couldn't even see. It was pretty funny. That was a great performance by BYU. It really was. And it keeps BYU in a confident place where they absolutely told the country, we are not last year's team.
That probably is the most important question to answer in the eyes of the committee. I wasn't even thinking about that, where, they're not supposed to compare last year to this year, but if there have been doubts about BYU, and I think that I would be naive to say there haven't been based on the way that the committee has ranked them and the way that the committee has ranked some of the other teams, especially the SEC teams who have comparable resumes. I think that it was important for them to put whatever doubts to rest. And I don't know how you do a much better job of it coming off a loss than 44-13 over TCU. Was this Bear Bachmeier's best quarterbacking game? Now, he's been really incredible as like a weapon, as a running back. This was a little bit more of a traditional type performance, 23 of 33, almost 300 yards. He did just throw the 1 touchdown, but, I mean, it was – Bear Bachmeier looked like he's a lot more comfortable week to week to week playing the quarterbacking part of the quarterback position.
Yeah, that's a good question. I would probably have Bear Bachmeier's best game as the Iowa State game. Here's why. BYU got down by 14 in the first half. LJ Martin had just gotten knocked out of the game. At halftime, BYU had to throw out the game plan to run for a gajillion yards. That was the game plan. And they threw for 307 and won convincingly 41-27. That, to me, was the first time they said, we actually need to put it on your shoulders and you have to throw it. It can't just be the run. And he carried BYU in that game. I thought that was really impressive. He continues to, by the way, have 7 games of a rush and a pass touchdown. He's one of, I think, 3 quarterbacks in the country that can say they've done that. He continues to grow. And I think Aaron Roderick is loosening up the playbook a little bit more with him in terms of like, okay, I trust you to push it down the field a little more. It's not just play action or just situational kind of passing situations. There's a trust there. There's a growth there, which is natural and normal and I think understandable. And so Bear continues to grow. And today ESPN put out a list of the top freshmen in the country. He was listed at number 2. And, BYU is going to have to pay him to retain him, I would assume. And let's hope they do because Bear is awesome and the future looks bright for this kid in Provo.
Hold on. What you just threw out there, that's a question for a Utah fan base. Like, can you pay Bert Ficklin and Devin Dampier? That's not a question that BYU fans get to ask, right? Because
I'm just being honest. Like, you're going to have to pay Rob Wright III after this year. You know what I mean? Like, to retain guys that didn't grow up BYU fans per se, that may take a lesser amount to be here than maybe somewhere else for a different opportunity. Listen, there's no reason you can't, one, get to the NFL as a quarterback here. We've seen that the last couple of years. In fact, I think BYU's last 3 starters have all made NFL rosters and played in NFL games. Keaton Slovis is on the Texans right now. Like, he's there with Jaron and Dak and so on and so forth. Then you look at, Jake Retzlaff obviously is not in the NFL yet or there. Who knows? But the fact that you can get competitive NIL, that you can be in a power league and be in the hunt for a conference championship, all those boxes are checked. I'm not saying there's a reason for Bear to leave. What I'm saying is everything's year to year now. And I'm just stating the obvious is, his value will go up, and he, like, Sam Levitt's getting shopped around right now. I'm not saying Bear's doing that. I'm not reporting. I'm just saying it'll be important to retain him because he's going to be wanted and courted by other teams, legally or not, above board or not.
Well, I mean, the above board or not thing is just like completely out the window in all of college football, obviously. But I mean, I guess I'm probably, even on a Utah station, I drink the Bear Bachmeier blue Kool-Aid too much. When I'm seeing videos of him, it's like, well, on Saturday night, he beats Utah in a rivalry game, like with one of the more impressive runs we've seen from a quarterback in recent memory. Oh, and then on Sunday, he's playing his guitar and singing at an old folks' home. It's just like, this kid is – that is the most BYU quarterback thing I've ever seen in my life. I didn't even – until you said it, and I realize why you say it, but until you said it, I'm like, I didn't even entertain the possibility of him answering a phone call or his agent answering a phone call to be anywhere but BYU after the way this season has gone.
Right. I would put the likelihood super high that he's still in Provo after this year. I'm just saying in this era, it just is what it is, you know. And what's funny is BYU did not ask him to cut his hair in fall camp. He just went and did it. And then he took his team photos, and he looked like – I told him about, like, you know, you look like a missionary. You look like an AP. I explained what that was, you know, kind of one of the leaders. I was like, you're looking like AP Bear there. And so he just did it on his own. But he's like blended in really well to BYU, and I hope he's here, you know, 3 or 4 years, and BYU continues to win a bunch of games now.
Is the reason Tiger Bachmeier's not a bigger feature in the offense is because he has not cut his hair yet?
I think he should be more of a feature in the offense because of the hair. That's what I think.
I asked that facetiously, obviously. Don't get mad at me, the 3 BYU people who actually listen to this station.
Don't get fooled, by the way, with fake AI BYU women's golf photos either. That happened over the weekend.
Wait, what? I'm not unaware of this.
There's a BYU women's golfer who someone AI'd, like, had said, hey, they took all her tattoos off in this photo. It's like, no, that's fake. So, but it got a bunch of run. People thought it was real. It's like, no, you got to actually dig in and learn what's real. Don't be duped.
There's a women's golfer at BYU who's tattooed, and people tried to make it look like she was no longer tattooed?
Yes. I think she has some tattoos, but then they made a fake image where she had a bunch of tattoos. A lot.
Oh, all right. Okay. Well,
listen, not a big deal.
Yes. You can tune into any BYU football game and see that tattoos are allowed at BYU. You can watch them.
My wife got a tattoo a couple years ago. Like, things are changing, you know.
If you were going to get a tattoo, what would it be?
Big Transformers fan, so maybe the Autobots somewhere.
Ooh.
I don't know.
Like the logo or one of the actual Bumblebee,
like
Optimus
logo.
Prime, Shia LaBeouf.
Maybe I'll get the Pam Anderson barbed wire. You never know.
I ask you that question as someone who's heavily tattooed. I'm always interested to know if people who don't have tattoos have even entertained that thought. Like, what would I get if I was going to get something? Because obviously they're a lot more mainstream than they used to be.
They're very more mainstream than they used to be. That's absolutely true. Yeah, certainly that would be an interesting move for me, given where I work. But yes,
I have a friend, a guy I grew up with.
That's great for you.
Who has a BYU sports themed sleeve tattoo. It's like the most oxymoronic thing where you're like, it's BYU. What do you mean?
I'd get a CTR, yeah, for sure. Probably the temple on my right arm. Yep.
You know what?
Sleeves of all the prophets, all BYU quarterbacks.
After this conversation, we're gonna reach out to every tattoo parlor in Utah County and see how many Bear Bachmeier tattoos they've had to do so far this year.
A plethora.
Jerem Jordan, Red and Blue, is our guest here on the Sean O'Connell Show, brought to you by Murdoch Ford Santa Quinn. Take advantage of the Black Friday sales going on right now. Let's look forward to Cincinnati. I have said now for several weeks, I don't think that the Bearcats are a bad matchup for BYU. I think that if you're Cincinnati, you're glad this game is at home, but you're probably watching the film and being like, geez, this is, if we got embarrassed by Utah, the same thing is going to happen to us against BYU, and it might be even worse. When you watch this Cincinnati team, what do you think of the matchup?
I think Brendan Sorsby is a good quarterback, but most of his damage has been against kind of teams without winning records. And Cougar Stats tweeted out that he's faced 3 of the top 6 pass defenses this year, and he was sub-100 efficiency in all 3. BYU's number 13 in pass efficiency defense. So I think BYU is a good matchup on defense. Evan Pryor, their leading rusher as of a couple weeks ago, missed the Utah game, missed last week. We'll see if he plays in this game. Arizona intercepted Brendan Sorsby out of the gate. He only had 2 picks all year. He had none at home. He threw 2 last week. They made him look pretty average. He is really good with his legs, though. He's an excellent runner, so that's certainly going to be something BYU has to stop this week with Jay Hill. But, I mean, outside of Texas Tech, who's been top 5 all year, BYU's done a nice job with a lot of rushing quarterbacks. I think, Utah got some jet sweeps around the edge and whatnot, but, for the most part, I think BYU's done a pretty good job. And defensively, they did a nice job against Josh Hoover with multiple picks. He only completed 10 passes, Sean. I mean, that's silly. So whatever you do best, Jay Hill finds a way to limit you. And then Kalani Sitake admitted yesterday that L.J. Martin might have been brought back just a little early against Texas Tech, but he said L.J.'s a competitor. He wanted to play in that game. He said L.J.'s feeling better now. That run game didn't put up huge numbers against TCU, but they had great success rate. They were moving the chains, scoring on your first 7 drives. And on BYU's first 50 plays, they had 25 touchdowns. I don't think I've seen that before. They were just getting down the field, scoring, adding to that lead. I think BYU has a similar game against Cincinnati where they get a lead and they're able to hold a lead. Granted, it's a long ways to go across the country, and it's a team that's trying to stand the hunt after 2 straight losses and not feeling very good. So they'll be motivated. Big noon kickoffs there. I think it's a fun matchup, a big game. Obviously, BYU needs to win it to stay in the hunt for the Big 12 title game without tiebreakers. And I think the Cougars will show up. They have for all but one performance this year, and BYU and Utah know what that's like against Texas Tech. That's a great team, man.
The college football playoff rankings that come out tonight, do you see any mobility up or down for BYU compared to last week's ranking?
Up 1 because Texas lost. I think BYU goes from 12 to 11. I think BYU you could argue, and we did today on BYU Sports Nation, that BYU could be as high as 8. Ole Miss and Oregon, their resumes aren't that much better than BYU's. I do think Oklahoma and Alabama should be ahead of BYU based on strength of schedule and the amount of quality wins they have. But I don't think that Notre Dame necessarily should be ahead of BYU. And I think there's an argument that Ole Miss and Oregon could be behind BYU. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm just saying if I was in the room, that's an argument I would make. I think Texas Tech should be higher. Give me Tech at 5. I don't think they will be. I think they'll be 6 tonight. But Tech is destroying everybody, and their one loss is with a backup quarterback on the road against the Big 12 reigning champs. Like, what's wrong with that? It was tight. So we'll see what it is tonight, but I think BYU is probably coming in at 11. I wish it was a couple spots higher because I don't know that they're going to have the fall back leeway if they go to the Big 12 title game and lose to stay in the top 10. Needs to be top 10 because 11 and 12 might be taken by, say, a James Madison and an ACC team if they're not inside that top 12. So top 10 is where it's got to be. And so I think realistically, BYU's probably got to win the next 2 games and then win the Big 12 title game to actually get the college football playoff. With how much winning BYU's done the last 2 years, Sean, it'd be really disappointing not to have one college football playoff berth because in the 2000s, in 01, 06, 07, 09, BYU had really, really good teams. They never had a BCS or New Year's Six team. This team needs something like that because I don't know that you can stack year over year like this. Like, hopefully BYU can. But the reality is these 2 years have been special. I need BYU in the college football playoff. They've won too many games not to have that opportunity. So hopefully they finish the season strong and get that chance.
I'm going to ask you a question that makes very little sense because we know about the rules and the automatic qualifier thing. But if you could only choose one, would you rather see a college football playoff game for BYU or have them win a Big 12 championship?
That's interesting. The Big 12 championship because they get to the college football playoff?
which is why the question doesn't make sense. But like, I ask that because look, there are possibilities for BYU and a slightly weaker possibility, but there's also possibility still that Utah could make it into the college football playoff somehow without even appearing in the conference championship game. And I guess I'm a bit of a traditionalist in that, like, the hierarchy of needs for me is like, show me that you're a great team, show me that you win a conference championship, and now let's talk about you being in the playoff where you're ostensibly contending for a national championship, even though I think most of us don't believe that BYU or Utah this year is a true national champion contender. Maybe some people put Texas Tech in that regard. I don't know. I don't want to speak for anyone else, but I want to see Utah, like, I'd rather, in a weird way, and I'm alone here, I've already sussed it out with our listeners, I'd almost rather see Utah get there the hard way by beating Texas Tech in a conference championship rematch than just skirting the conference championship game and somehow getting in over like a 2-loss BYU who lost to Texas Tech twice or something like that. I know that's strange to say, but that's where I'm at with it, and I don't know if any BYU fans are that way.
I think BYU fans want a rematch with Texas Tech. They want a shot to prove that they were better. And then ultimately, I mean, making the playoff would be fantastic. Like, if I would rather win a playoff game than, just play out a Big 12 title game. And if you win the Big 12 title, if you're BYU, you'll host a playoff game. You'll be 7 or 8 probably on Selection Sunday. After that win, I would think. So I don't think you drop to 9 and then you're on the road. But beggars can't be choosers, bro. I'm still getting used to being in the Big 12.
Fair, you're right.
Bonta, like, come on. Like, BYU's been so good in these one-score games. They were down 10 with 4.5 minutes left at Arizona and won the game in double OT. Like, it's been incredible. I'm really enjoying this journey with BYU last year and this year. Obviously, last year was disappointing to play the way they did at the end. But, Sean, honestly, it was best-case scenario. If they had made the playoff and then lost that game, we wouldn't have felt as good as we did with BYU going to the Alamo Bowl and smashing Colorado. It filled the offseason with hope and excitement. The Jake Retzlaff stuff happens. Bear Bachmeier takes over. What are we going to get? Boom, BYU does it again, is in this position. I mean, it's wild what BYU's created and able to sustain here in year 2, and now their recruiting's excellent. It's fun times. I'm not overly stressed, but I mean, we are sort of downplaying how important Saturday's game is. You can't lose again and feel like you have any at-large opportunity. You'd be out. You'd be knocked out. You just don't have enough good wins in the strength of schedule to stack up with some of the other 2-loss teams in the SEC. And then Notre Dame gets all the love they have because they have Rudy and the Four Horsemen, and Touchdown Jesus has like very little to actually do with their resume, which is crazy. But it's college football. It's fun. I'm hoping they go to 16, not because I want a bigger playoff for like the actual competition of it, just because BYU and Utah would be in right now if it was 16. But it doesn't sound like they're going to actually do that. They have to do it in the next couple of weeks if it's going to be next year, but we'll see. All this Big 10, 20, 18 stuff, that's ridiculous. Max 16, dude. Max 16.
Has any SEC private jet landed at the Provo airport recently? We're paying attention to
just to refuel
the Lane Kiffin watch, but none of that.
Go to Arizona State.
Okay, all right.
Do you remember when Urban Meyer came to see Porter Gustin play a basketball game at Salem Hills? Remember that?
I don't remember that.
He flies into Provo from Ohio State, and he goes to a Salem Hills basketball game to watch Porter Gustin. He ends up going to USC, of course. But it was like, whoa, what is that? So Provo Airport, getting better. Have you seen it recently? They've renovated. It's fantastic. It's great.
The Provo Airport is highly slept on. It's great.
Oh yeah, I love it, dude.
And they keep adding routes. There's it's the benefits of that Silicon Slopes and all the money down there. Like that's one of the fringe benefits.
I don't know that we're going to get Delta because there's a hub in Salt Lake. That's the only missing piece to me. It's like, oh, could I not have to drive 45 minutes or an hour? But that's kind of getting picky. Like,
hey, just
Pioneer showed up here.
Just move up to the avenues. All right, move up to the avenues with me.
Listen, I go south when I go home, not north. I hit no traffic, bro. It is awesome. I love where I live. Let's go.
Brother Brigham did not walk in and say to Provo, "This is the place," right? He was talking about the Salt Lake Valley. Come on, bud.
Well, he was a little sick. He sat up. Maybe he couldn't see clearly. It's like, keep going down south. No, I love that dynamic. By the way, I actually have a picture up on my wall of somebody painted. I'm staring at it right now. It's Brigham Young in a Utah hoodie holding a Mountain Dew, and then it's Joseph Smith in a BYU sweater holding a Diet Coke, and they're watching the BYU Utah game, and it's got Jesus on the wall, Nauvoo Temple, and Porter Rockwell. It's just an awesome picture. I'll text you in a minute. It's really funny.
That is I want to see that painting. Oh,
totally not sanctioned, but I have it.
Oh, sure. All right. Appreciate your time as always. Enjoy the game this weekend. The Utah fan in me wants to see BYU stub their toe here to open up the tiebreaker possibilities. I just don't feel like it's a strong possibility the way Kalani's got these guys humming.
Hey, yeah, no, they're going. I think BYU wins and keeps this going, beats UCF, gets the rematch, and then we'll see, man. It's one game for a ring and one game for the playoff.
Jeremy, you're the man. Appreciate your time.
Thanks so much, Sean. You're the best.
That's Jeremy Jordan, the former Copper Hills Grizzly and BYU insider, BYU Sports Nation. He's our host, our guest here on Red and Blue every single week. Brought to you by Murdoch Ford, Santa Quinn. They've got incredible deals right now, I'm telling you, especially if you're looking for trucks. New, used, Murdoch Ford, Santa Quinn is the right spot. 143 used vehicles in stock right now. Tell them OC sent you when you head down. All right.
We're going to have to ask Jerem next week if he's got a new truck.
Yeah.
He asked if all I got to do is say your name.
All you got to do is go and say, "Hey, OC sent me."
Yes, and he says he's right by Santa Quinn, so he might as well. All right, we're gonna have to follow up on that.
Daily Dump is next. It's the Sean O'Connell Show on Utah's #1 sports talk, ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Any of your plumbing or drain cleaning needs, check out the Truck with the Duck. Valley Plumbing hooks you up. Tell them OC sent you. Guys, it's time for us to all back off of Shedeur Sanders and let him have nice things. All right? I get it. I was among the most bona fide of all the haters. I have examined my distaste for Shedeur Sanders through many a different lens, wondering how much of it is a me problem, how much of it is a Shedeur Sanders problem, how much of it is a Deion Sanders problem. But at this point, he is a backup's backup in the NFL for a cursed franchise that ruins every quarterback who goes near it.
Hey, he's the starter right now.
Yeah.
Unless, I mean, that was the news. He will start if Gabriel is not able to play on Sunday. So he could be the starter for a cursed franchise right now.
And he was the starter for a cursed franchise when it didn't look like he was going to be and didn't get any practice reps.
Yeah, which, by the way, as you know, and we've heard from people like Scott Mitchell over and over again, who actually was a backup in the NFL for a little bit of time, you don't get any reps in practice if you're the backup quarterback in the NFL. So that's normal.
Guys, can I just tell you something? You want to hear the least surprising thing ever? Third string guys at any position
Don't get anything.
don't get any practice reps.
You just if
Okay,
you
you
have
just
to
don't.
play, you have to go figure it out.
But you just don't. Like,
Yeah.
during fall camp in pro sports, in college sports, whatever, during fall camp, you get a little bit of rotation. During spring ball, you get a little bit of run. When it's time to prepare to win football games, coaches do not waste any moments on the kid they don't think is good enough to be the starter. And if they know you're going to have to play, they'll be like, all right, we're like D linemen are a good example of this. To be a starting D lineman is a great honor. It's a wonderful thing. But really, there are 4, 5, or 6 starters on a defensive line. Rotational guys, there's not a ton of difference reps-wise, unless we're talking about like the NFL generational talents. We're talking about like the best that have ever come through your program type guys. You let a lot of rotation happen at the defensive line position. Defensive backs, package-specific situations, right? Gone are the days where you have 2 starting corners, 2 starting safeties, nobody else plays. Because your nickel corner is going to be on the field almost as much as everyone else. You probably have a couple of safeties that are better in short yardage situations. They're more your box safeties that you're rotating in and out. But even those guys don't get enough reps. They don't get adequate reps at practice. And quarterback is the most demanding from a preparation standpoint of all positions in all of sports. So you're not splitting things to be like, well, we hope this Shedeur Sanders guy ends up being something in 3 years. So when he gets put in the game, and look, like I said, bona fide hater, when he gets put in the game unexpectedly and ends up having a rough game and throwing picks and getting sacked and not looking all that great, it should not be a surprise to anyone. But I'm off the hate train now. I want good things for Shedeur Sanders, and I certainly don't want this to be the case. Shedeur Sanders, while he's getting his first real meaningful NFL time, has a rough show, right? Has to answer questions about it. That's not fun. Goes home and finds out that his house has been burglarized. Now, you know this is a problem. This has happened to NBA players. This has happened to soccer guys. This has happened in the NFL before because the interested parties that are casing your house, they know when you're at work. They're streaming your performance on their phone while they're rifling through your stuff. They know you're not home. That's what happened to Shedeur Sanders. He returned to his house and found that his Cleveland suburbs place had been burglarized. That just sucks.
$200,000 is the estimated loss in property, $200,000 of property.
I can
Loss.
make an assumption here that that's probably watches.
Yeah.
Because he was always flashing his expensive watches, even when he was a college athlete.
Watches and jewelry.
And maybe a chain or two, right? That it just sucks. It's obviously it's a part and parcel to being a high profile and I guess somewhat controversial athlete, although you don't have to be controversial for people to realize that you're a person of means. And
I mean, Joe Burrow and Travis Kelce were two other NFL players that were burglarized last year, and this a large string of burglaries across that happened to them across sports. A lot of athletes, those two in particular, not controversial. It just happens, right?
Look, if Joe Burrow has one of the Batmobiles from The Dark Knight. You know what I'm talking about?
Did he end up getting one? Because I was watching.
He bought one.
He did. Okay. Because watching quarterback, he says he's going to buy one, and then he ends up changing his mind.
I think he bought like a $3 million.
So he did it afterwards.
Tumbler is what the.
That's amazing. That's the dream. I would love.
Like
I would love a Dark Knight Batmobile.
I will neither confirm nor deny that I would be tempted to steal that from Joe Burrow's house if I realized, like, oh, he's on a road trip. He's gone.
Yeah.
I'm going to go take it for a joyride.
I mean, after what happened last season, he's probably upped his security game.
You would assume so.
You would think so, especially if he's like, yeah, I'm still going to make that purchase.
My thing is if you are one of these people, right? I don't know. I know a home security system is not a fix-all or whatever, but, like, get yourself a big dog, maybe. I don't know. There's got to be some way you can
get some actual, maybe some armed or otherwise security people around your your estate, right?
You probably have, like, hangers-on because that when you're a young, single professional athlete, all these guys have, like, their little entourage sort of situation. Just tell your buddy, like, hey, this week is your week to stay home from the game and watch the house. Poor Shedeur Sanders. I never thought I would say that, but that sucks, man. You go out there, you get your first real game time. It's not what you wanted it to be. You don't play all that well. People are already ragging on you, and then you come home and it's just like, oh, man, my chain. Oh, man, my watch. Oh, man, my TV.
Probably $100,000 more worth of stuff. Yeah,
I'm trying to think
suck.
if someone came into my house and literally emptied my entire house of all the things that are in my house, if it would be $200,000 worth of stuff. Like, if you took my couches, my TV, I guess if you took out my appliances and loaded them onto the burglary truck, maybe we're talking about $200,000. I do have some shoes. I got a lot of shoes. Too bad. Sorry, Shedeur Sanders, that happened to you. We talked
I
about
thought we
this.
were going to get a sorry Shedeur Sanders for all the hate and criticism.
No. I'm
just
sorry
with
that someone robbed you.
Okay.
I'm sorry that someone robbed you. I'm not sorry.
He's
that
like, finally, it's Sean O'Connell apologizing.
He is a big listener to the show.
Yeah.
Another NFL story. I don't know if you heard about this. Abdul Carter missed a practice.
Yeah.
And there was some reporting done that he slept through practice.
Yeah.
Abdul Carter is adamant that he did not, in fact, sleep through practice, but that he was receiving treatment because practice was moved to a different time. He called it an honest mistake and realized that practice had been moved, and he insists that he was getting treatment.
So they have an interim coach, and so it would stand to reason that, hey, when the previous coach, Brian Daboll in this case, had all, for half a season, and this is Carter's first season in the NFL. For half a season, I've gotten used to walkthroughs, and this is a walkthrough in particular that he missed. Walkthroughs happen at this time, this many hours before the game or whenever it was. And then the interim coach comes in and says, you know what, we're actually going to move it to this time. And he's already had half a season in his rookie year where he's like, yeah, well, at that time, that's part of my routine. I get my treatment done. It stands to reason that would be an easy thing for you to be like, oh shoot, I forgot we moved up walkthrough.
Here's the thing I don't understand though. Is the communication so dysfunctional with the Giants right now that whoever's like, I don't know, giving him the electro stem treatment or the massage or whatever, are they not like, hey, aren't you guys doing a walkthrough right now?
Yeah, and I wonder if that actually happened.
Or when the coaches notice, like, hey, where's Abdul? Where the bleep is Abdul Carter? There's no one at all who's like, well, usually this is the time that he's getting treatment. Let's maybe go check the training room. Like, are we that? I know that with pros are expected to just be where they're supposed to be. There's less babysitting. It's not zero babysitting, but there's less babysitting that goes on with professional athletes. And, you're supposed to show up to camp in shape. There's no one like watching you work out all summer. You're supposed to be ready. That's part of why they do the weigh-in thing. They're just like, all right, you're accountable. Like, we're not going to force you to do the meal plan like you have at the University of Utah, where you go into the cafeteria and you're red, yellow, or green, just like, yeah, this guy's on calorie restriction, this guy we're trying to bulk up, whatever. In the NFL, they're just like, if you're going to weigh in, and we're going to fine you if you're not on the right weight. The accountability is a lot higher in the NFL. But you're telling me that there's nobody in that organization who can be like, wait a second. Abdul Carter is usually getting treatment right now. Somebody run inside and see if he's on a training table getting taped up. And there's no one in the training room who's like, you know what? Normally when there's people in here, there's like 10 people in here getting treatment. You're here by yourself.
Yeah, why?
Where's everyone else, Abdul?
And why would Abdul, why would Abdul not walk in and go, hold on, this is strange? Yeah, is he sitting there just like, I'm the only guy who's getting treatment today. I'm the only one who cares. Like, what are we doing? You know what my hot take is? I think you were asleep, Abdul. You think he was sleeping. You think this was a wild excuse.
It just doesn't make sense that if you are awake and on, like, company grounds, so to speak, even if you're on the road, you're all kind of in the same environment. It just doesn't make sense that nobody knew to, like, hey, maybe we should send you out to practice.
Anybody know anyone who works in the training room at New York Giants we can call? Are
there no windows anywhere where people are just like, Abdul, everyone's walking around on the field and kind of like they're in formations and they're doing like.
Are you sure you don't need to be out there for that?
You don't need to be there? Oh, man. There's no windows. There's no cell phone service. You're telling me Abdul Carter, when he's getting his electro stem or his massage, he's not like scrolling through his phone? There's no one texting him just like, hey, man, you're late for walkthrough.
Okay. Maybe you combine the two. Did he fall asleep while getting treatment?
Okay. I think no, because again,
certain treatments you're not falling asleep.
Well, also the person would, like, whoever's administering the treatment might be like, hey, don't fall asleep in the hot tub. You're gonna drown.
You're gonna boil yourself alive or drown.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, I probably, like a lot of people, for maybe take things at face value too much, especially when you just read a report and you're like, okay, that's not major. That's nothing of major consequence. Sure, okay, that's the story. Cool, I believe that. I kind of did that with this story, OC, and now you're pointing out why we need to be thinking a little bit more critically. Why I need to be thinking a little more critically about that, a little more conspiratorial about that sort of thing.
I did sleep through an early morning workout.
Did you?
When I was at the University of Utah, we were like the walk-ons, the red shirts, the young guys.
Is this first year under Urban or second year under Witt?
This was the second year I was there, so the first year under Witt. Okay. So going in summer workouts, I'm working at a bar. I get off at 2:33 a.m., right? Early morning lift is at 6 a.m. Normally, I would just force myself, alarm clock. I don't know. I'm sure I just like unplugged my alarm clock. I was so tired and had no recollection of it or whatever. I ended up waking up at like 10 a.m. Disorientation. I'm like, oh no, what just happened?
No.
I look at back then my cell phone, no smartphone, but just like a regular flip phone,
Yeah.
And
still had clocks, people. They were still sophisticated technology.
I have like 5 missed calls, and I'm just like, no. Oh, no. So I immediately go to the facility. Everyone else, I was so late, I had slept through. I was so late that everyone else was gone.
Oh, no.
It was over. Like, people had done the whole lift, done the morning conditioning, showered. All the guys, like the Casey Evans of the world that did their extra stuff afterwards, like their extra footwork practice, they're gone, okay? I walk into the weight room, and it was just me. And they're just like, what happened? I'm like, I just I didn't wake up. I worked last night.
Oh, no.
I didn't wake up. I'm so sorry. How can I make it up? And, of course, in my mind, I'm just thinking, like, they're going to kick me off the team. It's over. Thankfully, the strength and conditioning staff are the only coaches that really spend a lot of time with us walk-ons at that phase. And they're just like, no, man, I get it. You're a walk-on who's up until 3 a.m. They're just like, okay, well, we got to punish you, but we're not going to, like, call Coach Witt and say that you missed.
Okay, good for them.
So they're like, all right, you just got to.
So what was the punishment?
Well, I had to do the full lift by myself, which is also weird because it's harder when there's not, like, the energy of the team around you. You know what I mean?
Stay motivated.
Yeah, it's like there's no one to talk to. It's just so I had to do the full lift by myself, and then I had to run every stair in Rice-Eccles Stadium. I had to go run every step. And they're just like, all right, have fun, go home.
And then they're like, and you're not playing this week. You're like, oh, wait a second. That's already
like, you know what?
normal thing.
You're suspended for the first half. I'm like, oh, really? Cool. So awesome. So I could just show up in plain clothes.
Man.
Like, so I have slept through. I mean, it's not outside the realm of possibility that you could just sleep through your alarms.
High profile. You're a high profile athlete like Abdul Carter, though. Are you willing to admit that you slept through when you're asked about it, or are you doubling down on this story? They're like, no, I didn't sleep through.
I'm telling whatever the truth is because
Are you?
It's relatable. It's understandable if you slept through. They're gonna make fun of you. Your veteran teammates are gonna buy you a pillow. They're gonna whatever. But if you're lying about this, it's the easiest thing in the world for the coach to walk in and just be like, hey, was Abdul here for treatment yesterday?
Yeah.
During practice, and have like the masseuse be like, what? No? What are you talking about? And now you're just like digging yourself an unnecessary hole.
And it's also stands to reason that it'd be really easy for a media member in New York or New Jersey area to call someone from the training room and be like, hey, Abdul said this. Is that what happened?
This would be the easiest thing in the world to debunk.
Right? That's true. Yeah.
So, I don't know. I'm telling the truth in that case. And yes.
Well, just because you have integrity, though. That's why. Yeah.
No, it's not because of integrity. It's because I don't want to be called out for lying.
Yeah. All right.
Because it's too easy to find out.
Fear, integrity, whatever gets you to tell the truth, right?
One's a real motivator. All right, we got to take a break. We'll come back with Jeff Schwartz. It's the Sean O'Connell Show on Utah's #1 sports talk, ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Baskin-Robbins is giving away another ice cream cake. This one is going to be shaped like a Thanksgiving turkey. 877-353-0700 is the text line. Send in your score prediction for Utah, Kansas State. Closest correct score with the correct winner will get a Baskin-Robbins ice cream cake. You can save it for Thanksgiving, have it go next to your actual Thanksgiving turkey. You can get it next week and eat it by yourself. That's on you. You get to decide that. Start of hour number 3, we bring in Jeff Schwartz, my longtime co-host, former Oregon Duck, longtime NFL veteran, college football and NFL insider, and betting expert as well. Jeff Schwartz, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm in awe of the Shadur Sanders 3rd and 10 completion and how against all odds I was able to make that completion this weekend.
Did you ever get robbed while you were at a game? While you were playing a game?
That's an actual real story about this whole thing. So there's this. I don't know if it's the same crime ring, but there was this crime ring going around robbing athletes while they were playing. I mean, they're not there, right? I mean, the game is being played, and so if you are brazen enough to do so, no one should be home.
Which is, I'm assuming, why you ended up getting your dog.
Yeah, as he licks his. Where'd he go right now? I don't even know. He's somewhere behind me. He's licking his paws or something. My house is unlisted. You can't find my house. It's perfectly done that way. But that's not the point. The point is that actually really does stink, and I'm sorry that happened to him. I mean, they said he stole $200,000 worth of stuff, so that's unfortunate. If you were to come to my house and steal something, I mean, I don't even know what you would steal. There's nothing of any value here whatsoever.
Well, I was like, if you rounded up everything in my house, I don't know if you'd find $200,000 worth of my stuff. I'm sure if you're stealing stuff from my wife, you could find a way. But like my stuff, you'd have to fill your entire van with my shoes, and even then, it'd be like $3,000 probably. I don't know.
I don't even know what of mine you would get that would be worth any value whatsoever. Oh, my size 18 shoes. Congratulations.
You can't resell those bad boys.
What do you?
Where
what
are you going
would
to
be a
fence
value
those?
of mine? I don't know. Now, my wife, jeez, it'd be a lot of value. But me, I'd steal my stuff. Be my guest. I'll go to the big and tall store and get some more stuff.
I want you to have like one very fancy chain. Like a crusted out.
I have one Breitling that I don't know where it is.
Like I want it like a blinged out Star of David chain that you wear every now and again or something.
Well, I do have one of those from my grandfather in the safe, but I don't wear jewelry, but it was mine to have, so I have it. It's very nice. It's like an arc, you would have like in a temple, on the Bima. So it's very nice. I just don't wear jewelry. I don't wear my wedding ring. I don't like jewelry.
Fair enough. All right. We are awaiting another college football playoff ranking tonight.
Yeah.
Do you think we're going to get any significant movement? Is a fan base here or there going to be up in arms, or is it just more of the chit chat until we get a real movement at the end when the final rankings actually matter?
I think there's a chance that 2-loss Alabama's ahead of Oregon.
Yeah.
Which is wild, but I don't know what we have to do to get any respect. It's kind of crazy. I mean, we beat USC this weekend. They'll drop in the rankings, and people will be like, see, no good ranked wins. You're like, what are we doing? Why are we doing this?
But USC won't drop out of the rankings. They'll drop to 22.
Like 20. Okay, but even then, they'll be like, no top 20 wins. No top 20 wins for you guys. It's the same. It just frustrates me how we do this in the sport, Sean, where you have to have a concrete rule about how you talk about ranked wins. I saw some other thing that's like, Oregon has only played 3 teams or beaten 3 teams with a winning record. It'll be 4 this weekend. You keep moving the target, right? Where the way it should work is that ranked wins are what they are, like they count whether they're what they are that week you play them. Now, because it's a long season and things change, you can have the nuance of saying, hey, man, Oregon beat Penn State. They were 3rd in the country. Penn State's not as good anymore. But that still counts as a ranked win. Just like if...
Okay, I'm on board with that as long as the rankings don't come out until like week 6.
Well, here's the thing, Sean. is that that's the system we have in place, obviously, right? And then of course as adults we should be able to talk about what that win means or doesn't mean, right? But it did happen when we talk about coaches' records or program records. In these moments, we don't do the end of the year rankings. Like James Franklin's not whatever 1-21 against top 10 teams with their postseason rankings. He's 1-21 in the moment, right? We don't do that with anything else except for some reason we argue every weekly about when a team was ranked when it comes to this specific thing. If we just did it and had one way to talk about it, which is exactly what I'm saying, you just count it when it happens, you talk about where the other team is now, then we lose all of this. We don't have to argue about this anymore.
I'm fully on board with that as long as, like you said, there's some uniformity to it. That when this committee meets, they say that, like, okay, that was the top 25 win. And if you don't like the Penn State win for Oregon, which I think is the example we're driving at here,
yeah,
Penn State was the number 3 team in the country when Oregon beat them. Now they are a 4-6 trash team that is going to be hiring a new head coach. So it doesn't look like it was an impressive victory. I'm fine with the people who are like, that's not an impressive victory. Okay, then don't rank them until you know who's good and who's not. And that's what the college football playoff committee does.
But that feels like such a hard thing to do, though, because you would definitely rank it off preseasons anyways when you would start. I mean, Penn State would probably still have been ranked at 4-2 if that's where you started the rankings with.
Sure, but they wouldn't be ranked 3.
No, they wouldn't. They would absolutely not be ranked 3. And you know, I don't like this discussion because I think that people I think do it incorrectly, and they have obviously everyone has to have their biases. Look, I mean, Indiana beats Penn State late in that game. It was like, oh my God, look at that great win. Oregon wins late at Penn State. It's like those bums barely beat them.
Yeah,
it's just like that's why if we just have some uniformity with this discussion, we don't have to worry about that. But again, I mean, I wish that's the case. But you know, back to your original point, I think Alabama, 2-loss Alabama, will be ahead of Oregon, and I think Oregon's just destined for like 8 or 9, and to have to play Ohio State again in the second round. I think that's like what the committee feels like they want to do.
How is Oklahoma going to be treated?
Should be treated well, man. It's a very tough stretch that they just completed and did a really good job of doing that, and. So I think they should be a playoff team, man. Like, you win the games you've won. Yeah, the losses are what they are, but again, you know, this does matter discussion, right? Like, John Mateer clearly came back too soon against Texas. Is that game a lot different if they play the backup? Is that still a loss? I don't know, but it happened, right? But they went through a pretty tough slate, man. There's still tough games left. Like, I think there's this thought that maybe they're not going to lose to Missouri this weekend, who. There was rumors that Purbulo might be back this weekend. I don't know how good he'll be. There's no guarantee they beat LSU, by the way. They might have a new coach here in the next couple of days in the last game of the season. But as of right now, I think they're absolutely a playoff team. By the way, how gross is this Lane Kiffin thing right now? I don't like it at all.
Okay, I was going to ask you about this.
Don't like it.
It's a very odd situation for Ole Miss to be in. They're going to make the playoff. They're a playoff team. There's nothing that's going to push them out of that. They're not going to lose on the road to Mississippi State.
Probably not. But
and even if they do, they're not going to be punished so aggressively that they fall all the way out of the conversation. Although I would love to see that. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, the reason why I think they have a chance to lose is what we saw with looking back on it now. We were covering obviously these games at the time. You know, when Mario Cristobal was being courted by Miami, they played Utah and they got their butts whooped. Now, you're probably whooping our butt anyways. You guys were much better us that season. You beat us twice.
Breaking news:
right?
Jeff Schwartz does not give Utah credit for beating Oregon.
Here's where I'm going with this. And at the time, you know, I think all of us thought like, oh, that the Miami stuff doesn't matter at all, whatever. And then you talk to players in the locker room, and they're like, yeah, you know, like we kind of heard it. Like, you know, Oregon's losing that game anyways. We weren't good enough to win that game. But when you look at sort of this season, right, and you look at some of the programs, especially sort of the G5 programs where their coaches are being talked about as potentially, you know, going somewhere else. And they're all kind of taking a bad L, you know, the last couple of weeks. Washington, by the way, goes to Wisconsin that week. There was a ton of Jed Fish rumors he was going to UCLA. They laid a big egg. my point about the Egg Bowl is that if Lane Kiffin is seriously being courted by other teams, I'm not sure Mississippi doesn't lose again. Like it's possible their team just isn't as focused, and that's part of the reason why I think I hate what's happening with them right now, because Lane is really doing his team a disservice. You're free to be to go look for other jobs, but to do it so openly like this, where your family is like not even trying to hide that they're traveling to other places to go look at campuses and property and whatnot. It just feels like you're doing this so blatantly now in the open. It's disrespectful to the players you have on the team that are trying to be a playoff team right now.
So if you're Lane Kiffin, who's got this kind of like fielder's choice happening right now, he could stay at Ole Miss. He could go to LSU. It seems like he could go to Florida. I don't know if there's any other jobs in play. Those are the ones that everyone's talking about most. How do you make the choice?
So I know Ole Miss won a championship like in the 60s or something, but there is something to the idea that if you go to Ole Miss, if you go to Florida or LSU, there is a little bit of championship like blood there, right? You've won recently enough, and I think that does matter. It matters for recruits, in my opinion. It matters for maybe support. Now, the difference is that I think that that it's the support is there, but also you better win, right? There's the pressure to win now, but I think he looks at those jobs and they're opportunities for maybe a little bit more support from everyone involved, and I think that for him, that's the difference between Ole Miss and one of his other places. So I think he does leave. I'm under the impression it's going to be Florida. We don't know that quite yet, but that's what I've been led to believe for a couple of weeks now. He's going to Florida.
Unrelated or not, the most expensive house in Gainesville just went under contract. Dan Mullen's old house, coincidentally.
Oh boy, that's it. That we know now. He's gone. He's gone. Sorry, Ole Miss fans. I feel bad for Ole Miss fans. It's just kind of at least like we know coaches are being talked to by other schools. It's nice like sort of do it privately,
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this version of a coaching carousel, like you're talking about, where you're on a team.
Sorry about that.
You're trying to win big. You're trying to compete for something meaningful, and your head coach has got 1 foot out the door already. Now, of course, as a player, you're probably doing the same thing, so maybe it's a little bit less of an abrasive thing now, because we were having this discussion a little bit yesterday, and this is, for whatever reason, everyone's doing this right now with Utah football. I think because Bert Ficklin once again played so well in complement to Devin Dampier, but they're a bunch of people like, hey, are you going to have to choose one or both of these quarterbacks? Can you even afford to keep both of these quarterbacks? It's a conversation for January that you have to be having today, and because players and agents and reps and teams and tampering and all that stuff, I mean, these conversations are happening right now, certainly for the coaches, but also for players who are trying to position themselves properly for next year.
Absolutely. And so maybe it's a little bit different now, but for that reason, Sean, like it feels almost more fair that I guess everyone's doing it. But again, the players are probably they're just doing a lot more privately. Like this is so public, right? I'm not saying that again, like the players can't do this, and you're not saying it either. But at least it's mostly private. Now the tampering stuff and whatnot, but it feels more private. Lane's just doing it so out in the open and doing it on a playoff team. Like his team is legitimately good this season, and that's I think what makes it a little bit worse.
Have you ever loved any job you've had so much that you would rather have to work, do the job, than just collect a bunch of money to not do the job?
Say that again? I'm too dumb to understand that.
Okay. Have you ever – I'm talking about James Franklin, okay? He had a $49 million buyout from Penn State.
I've talked about this before. If I won the lotto, I'd still work.
Okay, sure. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about Jeff Schwartz gets fired from, I guess – probably the job I'm assuming probably the job you liked the most was playing professional football.
Yeah.
Okay. So you get fired and they're like, hey, we're going to pay this buyout on your contract. So now you can just go hang out with your kids. You can go hang out with your wife. You can go on the Schwartz family vacations that you do every single week, and no one's going to bother you. and we're still gonna pay you like $40 million, or you've got to work 20 hours a day. Now it's a job you really love, it's a job you enjoy, it's playing football. You got to work 20 hours a day, and we're gonna pay you still for that, but you got to do it. And now all your time is taken up. You don't get to go on the family vacations. You don't get to hang out with the kids all day.
I would choose A option.
Yeah, right? So what is wrong with coaches? Why are coaches so insane?
My wife, on vacations, she goes like every month somewhere. And the other day, she's like, I haven't been anywhere in a while. I'm like, you mean like last week we went to the beach? What do you haven't been anywhere in a while? Oh, so funny. I would not choose the James Franklin option. I'll put it like that.
It's really fascinating. And look, I
so
respect
soon.
it.
Like he also very clearly chose a place that he can directly impact Penn State's recruiting.
Yeah, absolutely. How much? How much of this is like?
I like the petty though. I'm not against the pettiness.
Are you Larry David spiteful? You're willing to like do the spite program?
I'm not. My wife is that way. I'm not spiteful really at all. I'm just not. I don't have the energy for that to be spiteful. You have to have a lot of energy to be spiteful, I feel like. But in James Franklin's situation, like this is a great. I mean, he's not going to basically have any other job where he could be spiteful against Penn State.
Okay, so let's assume Lane Kiffin's taken Florida, like you said, and James Franklin has taken the Virginia Tech job. What's the next domino to fall? There's a hierarchy to all these things, and it's not necessarily the next best job or whatever, but is it LSU's got to find someone next, or is one of these other openings? Because there's going to be more. I mean, when we get to the end of the season, or maybe even this week, there's going to be more.
I am curious, though, if teams like Florida State are like, it's not worth firing Novell. Like what Wisconsin did, right? Like, let's reinvest in our program and not invest in the coach. And we think Fickle can still coach. We don't have good enough players for him. I wonder if Florida State feels that way. Yeah, I mean, LSU domino. The thing about, so if Lane goes to Florida, the choices for LSU are basically like Eli Drinkowitz. I mean, I don't know who they would even hire that you would feel like, well, we fired Brian Kelly and got a true upgrade, and then Missouri will be open. And I think we're done with crazy. Look, there's rumors about Sark and Riley. I don't. The Riley stuff, I guess, I sort of buy. I've heard from enough people that think you might want to get out. I don't know where to, and what that looks like. But there's bound to be some craziness. I mean, would you put it past LSU calling Joey McGuire and being like, here's $13 million, come be our head coach? I mean, that would be surprising probably, but it's not like something I don't think any of it can see happening. Not happening.
Well, that opens up another can of worms, right? Because the Joey McGuire thing is one of the more fascinating for me. I'm not trying to discount Joey McGuire as a coach. Obviously, he's a really good coach. He knows what he's doing. I think the best thing he's done is hand the keys over to his defensive coordinator in a lot of ways. But in any case, you could make an easy argument that the most impactful person for that program right now is not the head coach, but Cody Campbell. And I think LSU and Penn State and some of the other jobs have the equivalent of a Cody Campbell. It's probably by committee rather than just one person in terms of their NIL spending. But, like, how does a athletic director, a university president, a coaching hiring committee make that distinction when you're looking at these other guys who are having a lot of success? When they're looking at Joey McGuire, like, hey, yeah, he's done a really good job, but he's done a really good job with twice the money that everyone else in his conference has. If we can't provide twice the money, are we going to get the same results?
Who's the guy you mentioned with Joey McGuire?
The Cody Campbell. He's the billionaire offensive lineman that now pays all the bills.
Oh, man, that'd be fun. If I had $1 billion, I would certainly just show up to Oregon with a bag full of cash and say, here.
That's literally what the guy does. He sold. It's actually, if you want to go down a little bit of a rabbit hole, how fast he built this energy company, which is effectively an oil company, and sold it. It's insane. The guy is obviously some level of genius when it comes to the business world. But, I mean, Texas Tech's softball program gave $1 million to a pitcher because Cody Campbell was just like, yeah, you want money for that too? Here.
It worked, and she's incredible, and they got to the championship round, right?
Correct.
I would just show up with like a bad cash like Spencer Furneaux's house, right? Be like, yo, you want to be a duck? Here's some money.
Well,
No.
I think he's going to the NFL. Probably.
The real guy, I would show up to Jordan Seaton's house in Colorado. Be like, here's $1 billion. Come play tackle for us.
He's faking that injury, by the way, walking around in a boot because he doesn't want to risk anything for Colorado anymore. That's my hot take.
Really? I really didn't even know. I saw that he was hurt 2 weeks ago. So you think he shut it down a little bit just to get ready for the portal?
Yeah, why not? Colorado stinks.
Yeah, it's actually interesting. I think more players will make those business decisions for reasons that I agree with, but I just morally couldn't fake an injury. But I get it, especially in the climate right now with the sport where if you think you're going somewhere else, I imagine that players like him are already being talked to by teams. If you're not the team's probably not. You probably are, Sean. So it's interesting about that. Yeah, look, but LSU, back to Joey McGuire thing, it's not like LSU doesn't have support, and I guess you have to figure out if the players aren't as good, is the coach still as good? I think he is. There's some question about the offense and whatnot, but in the red zone, but it does feel like McGuire knows what he's doing. If you give him the players, then you got a chance to win. And so I think you have enough money at LSU to make that happen.
I think so too. I just don't know if that's being factored in as we get into there's another layer to every college football onion now where you've got to help, justify success or explain failure to your coaching staff based on I mean, this is very Utah Kool-Aid, but we know for a fact that Utah football is right now a top 15 team in the country without top 15 NIL resources when you compare them, right? So what do you attribute that to? Well, you attribute that to the coaching staff.
Correct.
The culture of the program, the continuity, all those things, right? So it would make sense that if you're looking at any of these teams that are overperforming their NIL positioning, all right, that's a coach that if we give the resources to, he's going to be great. I don't know that Joey McGuire is overperforming. I think that he's just doing what anyone who's a good coach should be able to do when he's got a double salary cap.
I haven't thought about that in that way. And what's crazy is even as good as he's doing, they're not winning a championship. He needs 3 more years of this recruiting to win a championship.
Yeah.
And so, but that thing about maybe he goes to LSU and thinks I have a chance to win a championship now at LSU much quicker than I have at Texas Tech. I can get better players. Look, and there's something to the idea that, and I know that people will disagree with this take. They just don't, I think, maybe understand sometimes. But not every player goes everywhere for the money. Players are more likely to take less money to go to LSU and play than Texas Tech. So you can you're able, I think, to get maybe more players and spread the money around a little bit at LSU. Then Texas Tech, you have to here's a lot of money. We don't have a rich tradition of winning championships or winning conferences. So if you come to us, this is what we have to pay you more money essentially. Where LSU, that's not the sell, and so I think that also could play a role in anyone taking that LSU job.
All right, NFL question for you. Do you believe Abdul Carter that he was actually getting treatment and not sleeping?
No. Oh, no. I haven't tweeted about this yet because I don't want to. I know how John John's going to take it. I don't believe him for a second. Okay, so many things here. Well, have you talked about this yet?
Well, we just barely talked about this. I want you to correct me if I'm wrong because I've never been part of an NFL team, but I don't understand from a logistical standpoint how you could be in the treatment room while everyone else was walk through or practicing and have nobody say anything.
Okay. So that's the number one thing is that the Giants training staff, I know those guys, I played there, very professional. They're going to know the schedule too.
Yes.
So they're going to tell him, buddy, you have you have walkthrough. Also, if you're sitting in there and no one else is in there, all the trainers that walk through.
Thank you.
You're like, what? Where am I? I've been in the Giants training room. I mean, you are. It's not. It's a way enough from the locker room where you can be in there by yourself and not really know that. But there's you're like, where did everyone go? Why is no one here right now? And again, the training staff is going to know the practice schedule, even if it's changed. they're going to know it too. And would you look around and be like, why is no one else in here? I don't understand. So I think throwing the Giants training staff under the bus here is not a good look for him. I can't. And then he said, too, he FaceTime coach. But if you're in the building, why are you FaceTiming coach? So my thing is, I think he was getting private treatment, and he didn't realize, like, he wasn't doing it on campus.
Okay.
And he was doing it off campus, and didn't realize that there was a change in schedules. That's my only guess, is that how this story could even make sense. That he wasn't doing it with the Giants. He was doing it at a hotel or at his house, and didn't realize the practice schedule had changed, which is surely possible. That's more plausible than him being in the Giants facility and not knowing what time practice was at. Which is like not a thing that's going to happen.
Okay. That I did not entertain the possibility of private treatment because I didn't know that was.
That's
an
the only way it
option.
makes sense. The only way it makes sense. I've been in that. I spent 2 years in that training room with my busted body. The Giants training staff knows what time practice is. Okay, like,
Okay.
the idea that they're like, oh no, you know what? No.
Well, I'm glad I was right
yeah.
about that part at least, because I'm a skeptic on the explanation, and I was like, I don't know any football world in which you could be the only guy who is like in there getting a massage while everyone else is out there practicing, and have nobody in the building be like, yeah, this is fine. We'll just leave it.
Correct. Impossible to happen.
Okay.
Are you taking me to Dubai with you for the?
Are you
PFL?
coming? Let's go, dude.
When
Come
is
to
it?
Dubai.
After Super Bowl?
It's Super Bowl weekend, actually.
After Super Bowl?
Super Bowl Saturday.
Yeah, that's a no. Sorry. Next
Dang it.
year.
All right. Madrid. We're going to Madrid too. Right after
When?
March.
Oh, that could maybe be I could maybe be in for that.
All right.
Let me know. Is your wife going to come? I got to bring Meredith though.
I'm sure she'll go to one of those.
I could sell Marathon. I could do a couples thing in Madrid. March is our month. We take like a postseason football trip too. We can divert that from Mexico to Madrid.
They've got the preseason football trip. They've got the in-season football trips. They've got the postseason football trip.
I'm not going on the ski trip this year though. For Christmas, I'm staying home.
Why not?
I don't ski. It's a
Are they
waste
going?
of
Are they
money.
coming to Utah?
No, they're going to Whistler again. Okay. I have a call at 3:30. I'll talk to you next week, sir.
All right. Have a good one.
Bye.
Jeff Schwartz. He has a call at 3:30. It is now 3:32 where Jeff is sitting. So not only do I ruin my own clock, but I interrupt other people's schedules by being completely undisciplined as a radio host. It's not a good look by me, but here we are. You know what is a good look by me? Recommending for you the best spot to watch sports, to shoot pool, to entertain some just good old-fashioned bar food, or even if you're looking for something that is maybe a little bit upper crust, like a rare bourbon, you want to feel extra classy, there is one place in Salt Lake City where you can get all of it. You can get all of it at once. That's Big Willie's, 1717 South Main. They really pay close attention to the condition of the pool tables. Don't go get hustled, all right? Don't go try and hustle anyone. But if you like to shoot pool, Big Willie's is the place. If you're looking for a spot to watch pay-per-view, boxing pay-per-view fight, UFC pay-per-view fight, I don't think we're going to do any PFL pay-per-views this year. You're looking to watch, I don't know, rugby, you want to see some cricket, something that's a little bit more obscure and you don't have the correct sports channel to take it in, they will have that for you at Big Willie's. So you can go, you can tell them OC sent you, they're going to hook you up, you're going to say, hey, I need this TV to be on the Ashes. I want to watch England versus Australia in this cricket feature. They're going to be like, that makes no sense to me, but all right, here you go. Here's a food menu. Here's a drink menu. Here's the cold beers we've got. Here's the rare bourbons we've got. Here's the outlaw distillery partnerships we have going on right now. Here's our craft cocktail menu. They really will take care of you. It's a family-run spot by people I actually know. I'm actually friends with them. Patrick and Michelle have been good to me. Patrick and I have known each other since I was a sophomore at the University of Utah. All right? Go give them a shot at Big Willie's, 1717 South Maine. You want to watch the Jazz game tonight? Go down there. If you don't have tickets, that's the right place. If you want to watch the Mammoth game, go down to Big Willie's. Take a picture outside in front of the Mammoth mural, and as always, tell them OC sent you. Big Willie's, official sponsor of the Sean O'Connell Show and Utah Sports Bar at 1717 South Main. All right, Jeff Schwartz alluded to it. James, this is exciting for you because you have to figure out who's going to fill in for me while I'm gone. The PFL put out a video today announcing the first 4 events of 2026. Lots of other stuff to get to before we wrap things up here on the Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. All right, James, we could do the show from the road. Dubai, Madrid, Pittsburgh, Chicago. First 4 PFL events of 2026. Those are the locations. Which one do you want to go? Let's do it from the road, okay? All you got to do, you got to bring a laptop, some cool equipment that I don't know how to work, and you just got to, I don't know, we'll do it from the top of the Burj Khalifa, tallest building in the world in Dubai.
Out of all those places, the place I definitely choose is Pittsburgh.
We have done fights in Dubai. We have never done Madrid. Never been to Spain as an organization. I've been to Spain once myself. Pittsburgh, never done fights in Pittsburgh. Chicago, we have done fights in Chicago. So,
no offense to Pittsburgh, that's actually out of the 4. Well, I mean, you tell me. I don't know if I want to fly as far as Dubai.
It's a long way.
But
it's cool.
But
you
like,
get to say you experienced Dubai.
Yeah,
you know?
Pittsburgh. I was about to say Pittsburgh might be my least desired destination out of the 4, but Dubai might be. I don't know.
The glamour of Dubai
Pittsburgh's
is
at
lost
least a lot closer
when you spend as much time on the airplane as you do in country. That's the only, like, it's a first world problem, and I'm not complaining. Trust me, I love being able to call fights. But for that trip, very literally,
you have to plan out a lot of time to make it worth it.
It's one whole day flying there, and then I'm there for weigh-in day and fight day, and then it's one whole day flying back. So it truly is.
Wow.
And I think they haven't finalized 1,000,000%. I think I'm going to have to miss. I'm going to be on a plane during the Super Bowl flying back.
But is this a plane that you like? Can you watch live TV on the plane?
Yes.
Yeah, so you can still watch the game on the plane, right?
That'll actually be kind of a cool, unique experience if that's how it plays out.
I would imagine there's enough sports fans on any given flight that has that kind of thing where you can watch a big game like that on the flight. There's enough sports fans that there's going to be people breaking out in cheers when a big thing happens during the Super Bowl. Maybe not. I would imagine so.
You know, the Delta has like Wi-Fi on all their long flights now.
Yeah,
that's a thing. They're offering free Wi-Fi on all their flights, and I can't remember which event it was. Recently, it was during this football season. I had to fly back, and I was watching the Utah game on the plane because you can stream it to your laptop or your phone or your iPad or whatever. So I'm watching the game, and I got up to go to the bathroom, and I came back, and the guy sitting next to me was just like, hey, how are you watching that game? I was like, oh, I'm just streaming it because we've got Wi-Fi on this flight. He's just like, oh, I can't sign into my TV provider to watch. He was like I think he was a Virginia Tech fan on it, actually.
Oh.
And they were playing some game of import or whatever, and I'm just like, oh, well, I'll log in. Like, what are you trying to watch it on? So he handed me his iPad, and I was like, I'll just log in under my Comcast, and you can watch.
So you let him borrow your.
I let him pirate the my account there for the flight, and it was a important bonding experience with my fellow traveler.
That's awesome.
Like, yeah,
we love the
first world problem.
We love the accounts that let you have multiple screens at one time.
Yes. Like if you're going to be stuck on an airplane while a game you want to watch is happening, the miracle of technology is you can now watch that game.
I've been in studio. Actually, this is my college football Saturday during Utah football broadcasts. I have these TVs that we have in studio on the Utah game usually. And then I have my laptop on a game, and I have 2 other screens of other games. And so, yeah, we love the multi-screen thing.
You're the only guy here most of those days, right?
Yeah, Porter and Trevor do the first 2 hours of the pregame show.
But then they leave.
And it's me. Sometimes I have someone helping me post highlights and such.
If I were you, I would be in here. I would have, because you've already got the setup figured out with the multiple screens.
Yeah.
I'd have food ordered in. I would be in my underpants. I would bring in a comfy chair instead of your office swivel chair for football Saturday. I'd be like, fine, you're going to make me be here? It's going to be my living room for the day.
As long as the comfy chair swivels.
They have those.
Yeah. I mean the glider recliner we have in the boys' nursery is that kind of chair.
By the way, that is for you non-parents out there. That is
so good,
quite the hack.
It's so good.
If you want to find the most wonderful, comfy chair you can find, the glider swivel rocker that is available at virtually every baby store
that also reclines.
Yeah, that's the key right there.
It's so good. I did not realize, when we're like preparing to have the baby, anticipating the boy coming, I did not realize how much I was going to love that chair.
It's a great chair. And the chairs are so great, you should use them for non-baby stuff. Also, because they're made for babies and they know that babies are going to be peeing and pooping and spitting up all over it, most of them are like a really good microfiber that is easy to clean. So if you're disgusting like me and you're going to be spilling your milkshakes anyway, perfect chair.
Perfect chair.
Public service announcement here from the Sean O'Connell Show.
So what are the dates of these fights here? You said one is the Dubai one, Super Bowl.
We don't know the exact
weekend.
The exact dates are not public yet, but it's Super Bowl weekend. I'm 90% sure, and then it's going to be March, and April. So
okay,
Madrid, Pittsburgh in March, and then April for Chicago.
I obviously did not see the post. I thought for some reason one of them might have been in January too, but it's February, and then
we have in the past we've started.
Yeah,
the first big card of the year has been in January. I think this Dubai in February has taken the place of that.
I mean, all right,
and that's probably. I mean, honestly, it's probably the arena. It's Coca-Cola Arena over there, probably being like, "Hey, we'd rather have you here in February than in January." It's probably what
we'd rather try to upstage the Super Bowl with your American, with your silly American viewers.
Yes, I'm sure that's the thinking. All right, we've got a BGR gift card to give away in our topical trivia section next. Sean O'Connell Show on Utah's #1 sports talk, ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Sean O'Connell Show on Utah's #1 sports talk, ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. Proud part of Utah's ESPN radio network. And we have a BGR gift card. Burgers grilled right in the heart of Sugar House at 1202 East Wilmington. The featured burger today is the Wagyu Wellington. Wagyu beef, truffle infused, caramelized onions on top, blue cheese crumbles, their signature mojo sauce, the perfect amount of crunch from those caramelized onions. One of the most flavorful burgers you're ever going to find. Truly, truly an excellent burger. Tell them OC sent you to get the ESPN 700 discount at Burgers Grilled Right, BGR. We've got a gift card for you. If you could tell me how many points Keontae George is averaging right now this season. Lauri Markkanen's the bigger story because he's over 30 points a game. Keontae George is having a hell of a season so far, and he's being overshadowed by the finisher. 877-353-0700 for a BGR gift card. The Drive with Spence Checketts is up next. You should be listening from 2 to 6 every single day. I know it's a lot to ask to go from 11 all the way to 6 every day here on ESPN 700, but that's what we expect of you. Spence Checketts, how are you?
That's what we demand of you.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
All right.
Question right out of the gates.
Okay. Answer.
Listening to the Sean O'Connell Show, as I do during the middays, running some errands.
As you should.
I heard a story coming in that you shared your cable information with a co-traveler on an airplane.
Yeah.
Are you nervous that he will continue to utilize the services moving forward?
No, I'm not nervous about that.
Okay, follow-up. This is the actual question because you travel a lot.
Uh-huh.
I used to travel a lot more. I still try to get out of town when I can. I think I took 12 flights this year.
All right.
Which is a decent amount.
Yeah.
Do you like to converse with fellow travelers, like the person sitting next to you? Do you like to fire up a conversation?
I never initiate the conversation because I know that people are typically, in they're working, they're using the only alone time they have and relaxing on a flight, things like that. So I don't typically initiate a conversation, but if someone starts talking to me, I'm usually happy to engage.
You really are?
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. I very much am not.
It just depends on the person, obviously, in the context of the conversation, all those things. I'll be honest here. It's probably been a year since anyone's tried to talk to me on an airplane.
Okay.
I think that the general sort of consensus stance amongst all travelers now is like, I've got entertainment options on my phone, on my tablet, on my laptop, on the seat back screen in front of me. I'm just going to throw the headphones in. I'll give a polite nod to my roommates.
Yeah.
And I'll say, excuse me when I'm getting up to go to the bathroom, and that's it.
Yeah, with the bevy of in-flight entertainment options, which wasn't a thing once upon a time, maybe you're just more distracted. I will say when I traveled to Orange County for that wedding that I officiated and was very nervous to do that, I sat next to a lovely older couple.
Okay.
And the lady, who was a grandmother of about 24 children, just wanted to show me pictures of her grandkids that she was going to see. And I thought it was really sweet. Like,
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. You could tell they were flying all of their children in from around the country to go down to Dana Point to have like this family reunion.
Cool.
And she had 4 or 5 kids all scattered across the country. And all she wanted to do was show me pictures of her kids and her grandkids. You could tell she was very proud. The dad didn't want to interact at all. But I thought that was sweet. I guess to your point, it does depend on. Now, I want you to be honest. Before you were married, when you were single, this is a flaw of the male brain, right? As you're about to travel, how often you're like, hey, maybe this is the only time where I'm going to sit down, and then coming to sit next to me is an attractive young single female. I swear every male, if you're single, you believe that that's going to happen, and it just never does.
Has it ever happened for you?
One time.
Same. One time.
One time.
You know our guy Yogi Roth, that's how he met his wife.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yogi met his wife on a flight.
It happened to me one time. You know what? I was flying home from Oahu. I was flying home from the North Shore.
There you go.
And so I was in like the Spirit, had the Aloha Spirit going.
Uh-huh.
Numbers were exchanged.
You're just like, oh,
Yeah.
shoot, how's it? you're all bronzed up.
Oh, yeah. Like barefoot.
Yeah.
Don't even give a rip,
Yeah.
Probably hadn't showered in 3
Oh,
days.
honey, what's your number? Just Spence Checketts with the full pigeon accent.
I didn't go full pigeon.
Oh, okay.
But no, I was feeling it. It was good. It was fun. And that's a long flight. So we had a great conversation. Numbers were exchanged, and it ended at that. But it has happened one time.
You know what the worst thing is when you are on a long flight with someone who can't sleep on planes, and they don't want to let you sleep because they can't sleep.
Yeah.
That's the worst.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It seems to be a very awkward dynamic when somebody wants to talk on a flight, and I just have no interest.
Well,
Maybe I just need to be nicer.
One of the awkward things about it is, like, it's great to fire up a conversation, talk, but then you got like 4 more hours sitting right next to each other. If the conversation runs its course and it's over,
yeah,
and then you're just like, I'm going to turn towards my screen now.
All right, okay, bye, see ya. Are you a window or an aisle person?
Aisle.
Okay, that's the right answer. Because the other thing is, I have to be able to control when I want to get up.
Correct.
Because it's not just like if it's a long flight, it's not just when you need to go to the bathroom. I'll get up and I'll go stretch. Like I just want to walk around.
Little yoga in the foyer.
Absolutely,
okay.
Right outside of the bathroom. Yeah,
why not?
I'll hang out there and stretch a little bit.
Yeah.
So I need to control when I stand up on a plane.
Yeah. I will say on these this is going to be the most arrogant or the haughtiest thing you'll hear me say on the status you get when you're flying a lot and you get to upgrade sometimes onto those like lay down seats.
Oh, the lay downs are where
you
it's at.
feel like the king of the planet when you've got a 10-hour flight to Amsterdam, and it doesn't matter. There is no middle seat. There is no window seat. You have access to the aisle whenever. It is like it's a totally different world.
Yeah, the lay downs, it's like you don't want the flight to end. It's like I'll just hang out on the plane. Let's just keep flying somewhere.
You're telling me that you will just bring me endless snacks? It's not just during the service. It's anytime I want. Hit the little button. Could I have another one of those little truffles that you had?
I live here now. Yeah, no, I hear you.
I'm moving into 6A.
P.O. Box. All right, before I say you loose, because we've misbehaved, as we often do. Oh, no, I have one more misbehaving question for you, because I was thinking about this. As I was running some errands today, I was at the store, and I heard this, Spence, what's up? And I turned around, and I'm like, damn it.
Hey, sport.
Yeah. So apparently we went to college together.
Okay.
It wasn't like a, hey, I listened to ESPN 700 thing.
Okay,
it was like,
right.
Dude, I haven't seen you since college, man. Like, how you been? And I was just like, I couldn't place it.
Uh-huh.
Now, the problem is you can exit stage left with some of those conversations, but he wanted to follow up. And for a minute, I'm like, I think this is a mistake. I'm not who he thinks. And then specifics about, like, I lived in this house in Sugar House. And he's like, dude, I used to hang out. And I was like, oh, man, we knew each other.
Yeah.
And I can't place it. How do you handle that? Because I'm like, hey, guy. Hey, fella.
I have the ultimate out.
What is it?
Man, I'm got
Is it
punched
a phony phone call?
I got punched in the head a lot. I'm sorry. Like, remind me.
Okay.
See,
I don't have that.
Yeah.
I am.
By the way, I don't think my memory's been affected at all.
Oh, sure, but that's a great out.
But I'm just like, your face probably got punched out of my head. Remind me your name.
I am very elite at faking a phone call. If faking a phone call was an Olympic event, I would medal. 100%. That's typical. Oh, dude, sorry, man. I got to grab this. Hey. Oh, yeah, I'm running late. Just wait. I'll be there in like 15.
You just pulled that was a black phone screen there. I saw nothing incoming.
It's like, hey, just wait 15. Oh, sorry, man. I'm in a rush. Got to go meet my buddy. So that's usually the out. Right. There are very few things more awkward when somebody remembers you as a friend and you're just like, you can't even place it.
The one thing I will say, I never forget faces. I might forget names. I never forget people's faces. So I'll be like, remind me your name. But I don't ever have to, like, blank on it. Where do I know you from? I just never forget faces.
That's good. All right. Now, since we misbehaved for 10, tonight, CFP release.
Yes.
BYU 11, Utah 12?
Probably.
Yeah. Okay. Texas Tech 6?
And I think because of what happened with Notre Dame last weekend and what happened with Oklahoma last weekend, I think that all the wiggle room is gone for the Big 12 conference. I think that you're lucky to get 2. You're certainly not going to get 3. I think that you're more than it's probably 50-50 whether you're getting 1 or 2. There's just not a lot of room left in this regular season for teams to screw up and fall all the way out.
Yeah. Oregon might get got by SC, maybe. Yeah, maybe. This weekend, Notre Dame has 2 cakewalks left. They're not going to lose. They're in. Yeah, I mean, there are a few scenarios. Like, I think Bama's one loss away from maybe tumbling. They have that. This is the annual rite of passage in the SEC where nobody plays anybody this week.
Bama's got like
they have the Iron Bowl. They have Auburn.
They do have Auburn.
Who they should beat, but that game always gets weird. So I think Bama is one more loss away from. But
there is still a convoluted path for them to get into the SEC championship game. I don't think that's going to happen either. Like, you got to root for Auburn, I guess, if you're a BYU/Utah fan.
Yeah.
But we shall see. The BYU Cincinnati game, I don't think Cincinnati's got anything for BYU.
I don't think so either. I think it's a bad matchup for Cincinnati. I think BYU rolls.
But, you got to, if you're a Utah fan, you got to kind of hope for something like that. We'll see. And look, the committee likes you. They've continued to say they like you, and you're only giving them continual reasons. 55 points last week. They're going to stay liking you. Whether they like you more than Oklahoma is unlikely.
You know what I didn't realize until I was doing the exercise yesterday is that if Arizona State, Utah, and BYU all finish with 2 losses, Arizona State gets in because of that Texas Tech win. So, like, if you're Utah, you don't just need BYU to lose. You need Arizona State to lose because the issue was with Cincinnati losing Arizona. Utah's win over Cincinnati is not what it was a week ago, and Arizona State has that win over Texas Tech. Yes, it was without Baron Morton, but that website I sent you, if you do the exercise, if Arizona State, and they have Colorado and Arizona, so they're probably going to finish with 2 losses.
Arizona's got a good defense right now.
That's true. But if BYU beats Cincinnati and UCF, which I think they will, and Utah beats K-State and Kansas, which I think they will, and all 3 of those teams finish at 2 losses in conference play, according to what I read yesterday.
You said if BYU beats Cincinnati, they have to lose to Cincinnati.
Correct. Yes, my bad. So if all 3 of those teams finish with 2 losses, according to what I read yesterday, Arizona State gets in over both BYU and Utah because of the Tech win.
Arizona's going to beat Arizona State to solve that problem.
There we go. So Utah's
Bada
in.
bing,
Utah's
bada
in.
boom.
Sweet. Nice work, Sean.
Simple as that. All right. Stay tuned for The Drive with Spence Checketts. Thanks for listening to the Sean O'Connell Show. Let's do it again tomorrow on ESPN 700, 92.1 FM.